everything that we are going to do, Lord, we pray. We want to have power to implement them, efforts to implement them in Jesus' name. Our being here will not be in vain today in the name of Jesus. Ekiti will move forward in Jesus' name. Blessed be the name of Lord. In Jesus' name we have prayed.
Thank you, Pastor. Once again, you are welcome. The Honorable Commissioner for Information, Right Honorable Taiwo Olatubosu, you are highly welcome. Thank you. The Clerk of the House, Barrister Opeyemi Ajibola. All the permanent secretaries, the Ministry of Works, Environment, Education, Local Government, Service Commission, you are all welcome. Director General Community and Communication, you are all welcome. Director General Waste Management, Director General National Orientation Agency, Pastor Abel, the meteorologist, you are highly welcome to our midst. Student Union from West. You are welcome. Annotation Secondary School, St. Thomas, Yalaje Yaloja. We are still respecting our NURTW, Road, Okada Riders, NGO, TZ, you are welcome, man. Southwest, Niger Delta, Conservative, you are welcome. Director, Institute of Legislative Study, State House of Assembly, you are highly welcome. As I said earlier, you are here in respect of the motion being resolved by the House that this sitting, the committee sit and see that how to reduce, how to mitigate the effect of Hazardous rainstorm in Ekiti State. Before we commence, I would like to introduce the members of the committee to you. The Committee on Environment. The chairman of the committee, she's well known to you. She was the former Commissioner for Environment during the JKF2. Is now the honorable member from Ilejemeje. I'm talking of Honorable Barrister Princess Iyabode Okieme. Sitting very close to her is the deputy, which is Vice Chairman, Honorable Ogushakin Olaoyadeolu. You are welcome, sir. Honorable Kande Anthony, very close to me, is the members of the committee. Honorable, you are welcome from it. Honorable Ajalamodo Kende Anthony, you are welcome. Honorable Babatunde Do, we are still expecting one of our honorable. Why this honorable is not around? He has traveled abroad. My name is Adishafe Adelodun. My chairman, the ball is not your quarter. I'll keep the ball rolling. Good morning,
7th Assembly, Right Honorable Stephen Adeoye Arikasole, the Deputy Speaker and all the principal officers. I would also like to acknowledge my colleagues that are here as ably recognized by the clerk of our committee. On my right, Honorable Olaoye Ogushaki, and my darling Egbon and colleague Honorable Tony Kainde Adaramodu. I want to recognize all the permanent secretaries, the clerk of the house. He was duly invited. I guess probably he's busy with some bureaucratic duty. I'm sure he will join us very soon. I recognize you, though you are not yet here. The Honorable Commissioner, Minister of Information, Honorable Taiwo Franklin Olatubosun. I'm sure he will soon be here. He will join us. All the permanent secretaries of relevant ministries that we have invited, all the director generals, and I want to use my darling sister, my black and beautiful sister, DG Civic Orientation, Dr. Mrs. Famuyiwa. I really, really appreciate your presence. We invited you, though with other state activities, you know, just at the last minute, crashing on our program. You still prefer to identify with your sister. I don't take it for granted at all. I really, really appreciate you. May God continue to bless you. I want to recognize the TIGED, our civil society organization, the Niger Delta people. I recognize you. The DG SEMA, Mr. Shaulu, I recognize you. And all that I've recognized, all the DGs, all the executive secretaries. Then I want to especially also acknowledge my dear brother, Pastor Abere. When I was the commissioner, he was in charge of the department for natural conservation. And I remember in those days, I will ask him that, are you talking from spiritual angle or from your knowledge as a meteorologist? Because if he tells us that it will rain, it will look at it, it will check their whatever that they check. It say by 4 p.m. it's going to rain, and it will rain truly. So and that was why he is unforgettable. Though he's retired, but not tired. Is very, very dedicated to duty, and that was why I decided when this assignment came up that he will come here today. So let me just stop on the already established protocol. Please, I recognize each and every one of you, ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen of the press, the ICT section, all our bureaucracy in Ekiti State House of Assembly. Good morning to every one of you. PS Environment, I can cite you there. My brother at the meteorology department now. Every one of you, you are highly welcome. Our topic for discussion this morning is on the devastating effects of rainstorm on residential buildings, commercial shops, and public infrastructure across Ekiti State. I have established my protocol. We have some traditional rulers, probably their representatives. We invited some of them, the Yaloja, the Yalajes, though they may not be here yet, but I acknowledge you because they form the larger part of the society. It is with great pleasure that I warmly welcome you all to this important public hearing organized by the House Committee on Environment of the Ekiti State House of Assembly on the theme, the devastating effect of rainstorm on residential buildings, commercial shops, and public infrastructure across Ekiti State. Following reports of the natural disasters that affected several communities across Ekiti State, to mention but few, we cannot mention all. It happened in Ayebode in the Kole local government area, Ijero in Ijero local government area, and Igbemo in Irepodu in Felodun local government area. I know some parts in Ado-Ekiti were also affected. It even happened in my own constituency in Ilejemeje. So therefore, during our plenary sitting on 21st of April 2026, the House, ably led by our Right Honorable Speaker, deliberated extensively on the devastating impact of these disasters on our people and on the public infrastructure. Consequently, the Right Honorable Speaker of the State House of Assembly mandated the House Committee on Environment to organize this public hearing, to engage relevant ministries, departments and agencies, environmental experts, professional bodies, traditional institutions, community leaders, civil society organizations, and the general public in a robust dialogue on practically and sustainable measures to prevent and mitigate the recurring incidences of rainstorm disasters, building collapse, erosion, flooding, and other environmental challenges confronting our state. The Speaker also emphasized the urgent need to encourage afforestation while discouraging indiscriminate deforestation, recognizing that protecting our forests and natural vegetation remains one of the most effective ways of reducing environmental degradation and minimizing the devastating effects of climate-related disasters. On behalf of the committee, I sincerely appreciate every stakeholder present today for honoring our invitation. Your presence demonstrates our collective commitment to finding a lasting solution to one of the most pressing environmental challenges facing our dear state. In recent times, several communities across Ekiti State have experienced severe rainstorms, resulting in the destruction of residential buildings, commercial shops, schools, healthcare facilities, electricity installations, roads, and other critical public infrastructure. Beyond the physical destruction, these disasters have displaced families, I beg your pardon, disrupted businesses and economic activities. It has endangered lives. We witnessed what happened recently in Ado, where one Okada rider was swept away by the flood, and placed enormous financial and emotional burdens on many households. As representatives of the people, it is our constitutional responsibility not only to make laws, but also to ensure that government policies adequately protect the lives, property, and welfare of our citizens. This public hearing, therefore, provides a unique platform for all stakeholders to present their experiences, professional opinions, and practical recommendations that will assist the House in formulating effective legislative and policy interventions. We expect today's deliberations to address issues related to compliance with building regulations, physical planning standards, environmental management, erosion control, drainage systems, emergency response mechanisms, climate change adaptation, public enlightenment, and the promotion of tree planting as a long-term strategy for environmental sustainability. I therefore encourage every participant to contribute freely, objectively, and constructively. Every memorandum and submission received today will be given due consideration by the committee in preparing its report and recommendations to the House for appropriate legislative and executive actions. Permit me to express my profound appreciation to the Right Honorable Speaker and the leadership of the 7th Ekiti State House of Assembly for their visionary leadership and unwavering support for this important exercise. I equally commend my distinguished colleagues on the House Committee on Environment, the clerk of the committee, and the entire assembly staff whose dedication and hard work has made this public hearing possible. As we deliberate today, let us remain united in our determination to build a safer, healthier, more resilient and environmentally sustainable Ekiti State, where our people can live without fear of preventable environmental disasters. Once again, I warmly welcome you all and wish us fruitful and productive deliberation. Thank you very much for listening. May God Almighty continue to bless our dear state. May God bless the Ekiti State House of Assembly, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Let the conversation begin. Thank you very much.
Let's put our hands together for the Chairman's Committee on Environment, the lawmaker representing the good people of Iligimiji constituency. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning it is my pleasure to welcome the former Chairman, Ekiti State House of Assembly Service Commission, former spokesperson of APC in Ekiti State, and currently the Commissioner in charge of information in Ekiti State. As far as this state is concerned, it's a voice to reckon with in the politics of Ekiti. And it's no any other person than Right Honorable Taiwo Franklin Olatubosun. You are welcome, sir. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we move to the next thing on our agenda for this program. And I want to call on Pastor Abere Adeyinka Ido Abere for the keynote address. Pastor Abere, please let's celebrate him, please. Celebrate him. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My introduction goes thus. The chairman, my honorable commissioner, Yawa. I thank you for giving me the opportunity to be in this field now. The chairman of the House Committee on Environment, distinguished members of the Ekiti State House of Assembly, representatives of ministry, departments, and agencies, traditional rulers, community leaders, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, everyone. I am deeply honored to have this opportunity to address this distinguished gathering on an issue that affects every community in Ekiti State, the increased occurrence and the devastating impact of rainstorms. In recent years, we have witnessed rainstorms destroy homes, schools, markets, place of worship, and public infrastructures, leaving many families displaced and causing significant economic losses. This event reminds us that while we cannot stop the rain, we can reduce destructive effects through accurate weather information, proper planning, environmental responsibility, and collective action. As a representative of the Department of Meteorology, my presentation will focus on the causes of these destructive rainstorms. You know, without fire, there cannot be smoke. So there are causes. The importance of weather forecasting and early warning system and practical measures that government, committees, and individuals can adopt to protect lives and property. I put my points as definition of key terms. We have climate change there, which is a long-term changes in temperature, rainfall, and weather patterns. You know, we have been disturbing the ozone layer by releasing our carbon dioxide all the time to the atmosphere. And that is why we are seeing global warming now. Everything that's supposed to go to space as a reflect of solar, the sun, they are dropping back to the earth. And that is why we are having global warming. Then, according to Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change Definition, which define climate change as statistically significant variation that persists an extended period, typically decades or longer. Climate change is a complex biophysical process. Climate is also described in terms of the mean and variability of temperature, wind, precipitation over a period of months to millions of years, classically period of 30 years. Before you can say you can define climate change, you will have studied and take the statistic measures before you can say, for 30 years, before you can say we have climate change. So climate change is one of the problems that is facing us, that's causing the devastating rainstorm effect in Ekiti State. So climate change is a global phenomenon which is real and already is caused by us and affect us on a daily basis, especially in our businesses. To every sector of life we may think of, be it agriculture, health, construction, commerce and transport, etc., etc. Climate change and global climate change over time is due to natural and human activities. You cause it, I cause it. We have been hearing bomb in Cuba in 70s. Now it is already here. You can see Boko Haram is already here. And if we don't plan for all these things, it may bounce on us in the future time. Not to have that bad impact again. That is why we are converging here to make our suggestions and recommendations. And I pray after this program, the recommendation will be followed up in Jesus' mighty name. So, the key terms are rainstorm, extreme weather event, flooding, erosion, drainage system, infrastructure, disaster risk reduction. That is my course. Mitigation, adaptation, vulnerability, resilience. I want to talk about resilience. We want to make Ekiti State to be a resilient state, so that whenever anything want to, happen like disaster, we will not feel it. We will control it, and we have bold mind to even be under our roof. Then, overview of rainstorm in Ekiti State. Ekiti State, located in southwest Nigeria, experience a tropical climate with two distinct seasons: the rainy season, which typically lasts from April to October, and the dry season from November to March. During the rainy season, the state receives substantial rainfall with period of intense rainstorms, often accompanied by strong winds and thunderstorms. These weather conditions are influenced mainly by the moisture-bearing southwesterly winds from the Atlantic Ocean. So when you see any air coming like wind, it will splash upon the sea, and we first of all receive rainfall before the north. That is why we are having early rainfall here than any other state or any other part of the country, especially the north. And when the northeast is coming, it will bring dust and harmattan. That is why we see the whole place will turn to AC condition. So I will be seeing every dust going out from one place to another during the dry season. So the hilly and undulating topography of Ekiti State, while contributing to its unique landscape, also increases the speed of surface water runoff during heavy rain. When combined with inadequate drainage system, poor urban planning, blocked waterways, and environmental degradation, these rainstorms frequently result in flooding, erosion, destruction of roads, damage to homes, and disruption of economic and social activities. In recent years, rainstorms have become increasingly destructive in many communities across the state. I will go to causes. The causes of rainstorms and their devastating effects. Causes of rainstorm. Rainstorms are natural weather phenomenon but their frequency and intensity can be influenced by both natural and human activities, human factors. You know, when we cut a tree, the land will tell you that you are removing my coverage. That thing that is covering me, that shielded me, you are removing it. And nobody is even thinking to replant another one. Those trees that we met on earth, about 400 years tree, 300 years tree, you just begin to cut them without replacing it at all. So tree planting is very important. It's so germane that we must work towards. God will help us. Season weather change, climate change, high atmospheric moisture content, the deforestation and environmental degradation, urbanization and poor drainage system, the devastating effect of rainstorm, loss of lives and injuries, destruction of buildings and infrastructure, flooding, soil erosion, displacement of people, and then preparedness. When we talk about preparedness, our adage always says prevention is better than cure. So if we don't prevent, the cure may be very, very dangerous. You may not, it's 50-50, you may die. So we will not die under this devastating of a thing in the name of Jesus. So sorry for all this language that I'm using, but don't mind me, I'm a pastor. So it's common with me. Praise God. Response under the preparedness. Then we have one thing that we call early warning system. Early warning. We tell you before it happens. That's what my commissioner was saying. If we are in a management meeting and I study this sky, I see the cumulus cloud, then I tell people, very soon, this thing is thick, you will see rain. And before we get to, even I always use it in my church. They think I'm spiritually connected with them. I will tell them, it's ordinary practical, it's my knowledge. So the knowledge we are receiving here today, we work for Ekiti State. Then response, recovery, then forecasting and early warning. We cannot forecast without establishing meteorological stations in all Ekiti State local government headquarters. We can't forecast well because we need record, we need information. Ekiti is behind in terms of data. What do you call it? Meteorological data, climatological data, and climate change data. We lack it. And any city, any country, any state that does not possess this thing in this 21st century, we go expire, and will not expire in the Ekiti State in Jesus' name. So my recommendations and solutions: 1, infrastructure and urban planning, massive dredging and desitting of waterways. This year I have not seen where the desitting the waterways like before. In last year, it was well done, well performed. So we must go for all these things. Then of waterways, government should prioritize quarterly desitting of Elemi Street, Canal, and major drainage in Ekiti State before peak rain season. Construction and maintain proper drainage system. Expand covered drain in flood-prone area. Ensure new road come with a functional drainage. Enforce town planning laws. Demolish illegal structures on waterways. 2, environmental management. We must manage our environment through SEPA. SEPA is there for us. Let us go there. When there is any problem, they will supply what we need. I'm rushing because of time. Then number 3, disaster preparedness and response. I've mentioned that every local government must have meteorological station, so that from there they will be generating data that will help them even in their local government. Because rainfall is different from each environment. You can have rainfall now here. I may not reach Fajuyi. Am I telling a lie? So it's dangerous. So if you say you depend upon ADO to be giving us data for every local government, we are going on. So each area, each local government headquarters must have establishment of, they must establish a meteorological station there, so that they will be gathering all these data for, for us to remove devastation of rainfall and rainstorms. Then establishment of standard meteorological station will be of a good advantage for investors also. We can be raising money from there. If you want to invest into any place, you must first of all see the data of that place, information about meteorologists. If you don't see it, you want to do the construction and you are going to Riverine area, or and you just do it, the thing will be washed away before you complete the assignment. That is why you don't see many roads, being sustained and being last. So that one is very important. It's so germane. Then number 6, index map of Ekiti State should be done to know the ecological zone of Ekiti State. Index map. That is where you are going to know. Do I supposed to plant cocoa into north, into Ilejemeje, into Otun? It will not stand there. But when you have the zone study of that area, you know the appropriate thing to plant there. It will affect our agriculture very well, and agriculture, food security will be secured. When you know where you want to plant, investor will be coming, especially when we have a cargo airport now. We want to be transferring our food. We want to feed the whole world. So we must have the index map of Ekiti State to know the zones of where you are going to plant whatever you want to plant. Number 7, awareness creation on the reality of climate change. This is part of what you are doing now. You are giving us awareness, and I pray all our participants will go home and deliver to our people what you are receiving here, so that we can work it together. Number 8, organizing stakeholder workshop and seminars on impact of climate change and environmental sustainability. Sustainability of things is very important. That is why I was praying the other time that God will allow us to implement anything like this. We have gone to federal, we have gone to many programs. The moment you say implementation, nothing. They will say positive of money. Positive. Why are you gathering us when you cannot implement what to gather us for? So that will not be our portion in Ekiti now. We need to speed with this work. Government political will and funding. When government does not have a political will upon anything, you can't see any result. And I believe my commissioner is there for us. They are going to submit this one to the speaker, and speaker will sign it. Number 10, climate change centers should be established with climate change desk officers in each MDAs. Climate change officers in each MDAs. They are not educated about climate. Climate will reach us suddenly and may destroy many things, and even lives. When we have a desk officer in each every MDAs, they will be connecting, collaborating with the Minister of Environment, the waste of what do you call it? The waste, SEMA. So they will be collaborating with all these people. And anything that is coming from the federal, we first of all landed in the environment. And from the environment, our desk officer there will distribute to every MDA. And in fact, before we finish, I pray you will have to open the, what do you call it? This onset of within the group, so that our program will not go in vain this morning. So if you open this thing, we'll be touching each other. How we can go far. Climate change is not it's a real disaster. We have not studied about 50 years. Have studied that this Boko Haram of Ekiti will enter Ekiti very soon. God forbid that thing. I've been saying it about 20 years ago that these people, if you don't checkmate them over there, Yoruba land is their no, not even target. It's where they can settle. Even the Igbos there, they come to Ekiti, to Yoruba land. So we are accommodative, and you can accommodate what you don't need to accommodate if care is not taken. And if you accommodate them, let them give you your data, their data. the biological data. I was in the palace at Ikere. I suggested, before I could think about it, next day, what I suggested in that palace, because it's a chairman, I sent her Ekiti. They said they are going to register and take bio data of every Olokada. Because no Boko Haram can enter into any village without Okada. So when you take their bio, what do you call it, bio data, you'll be able to undo them and say, you are so, who brought you here? What work are you coming to do? So that is, we must be very, very vigilant so that this thing will not rubbish us. I pray it will not rubbish us in Jesus' name. Conclusion, my chairman, distinguished members of this honorable house, invited guests, and stakeholders present. From the evidence presented, it is clear that the devastating effect of rainstorm in Ekiti State have caused immense pain to our people. Homes have been destroyed, students and families displaced, business disrupted, and public infrastructure such as roads, drainages, and electricity facilities badly damaged. Beyond the physical losses, the emotional and financial burden on victims, especially the elderly and vulnerable, continues to grow with each rainfall. God bless you for listening to me, and I thank you very much.
Please, let's put our hands together for our resource person. Let's put our hands together for him, please. Thank you. Now, before we move further, I want to quickly recognize some special people in our midst. Also, I want to welcome everybody to the Ekiti State House of Assembly. This is where we make law for the people of Ekiti and beyond. Aside from the business of lawmaking here, we perform oversight function and we appropriate funds to ministry and government parastatals. So this morning, we have in our midst the stakeholders in what we are doing today. We have the representative of NEMA. So please, let's celebrate them. The representative of NEMA in our midst, the staff of Ministry of Agriculture, the staff of Ministry of Environment, all our teachers. So you are welcome. Also, gentlemen of the press, you are all welcome to this special program. Now from the message from the keynote address of Pastor Abere Adeyinka Idowu, that is the chief meteorologist for the Ministry of Environment. So this morning we have heard from him, and I believe we are going to tap from his experience. So the next thing on the agenda is reaction from us. Within the next 10 minutes, we want to entertain question, reaction, and responses. And I pray the Almighty God will grant us the wisdom to do it in Jesus' name. So now we want to call on anybody that feel that they have one or two things to say as regard the message or the keynote address from the resource person. Thank you.
The committee chairman or other distinguished members of the House of Assembly who are committee members, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to waste time, even though I believe I have time to for a goodwill message here. But as one of the participants that is here, and I haven't listened to Dr. Abere, I think, Pastor Abere, I think it is important, since there is room for us to make comments, that much as I want to commend you, sir, for that brilliant submissions, I equally wish to, my name is Taiwo Latumbosun, I'm the Commissioner for Information, Ekiti State. I would like to make direct comment on your speech, on your submissions, that we should all keep abreast with the workings of the state as well. I know you are a professional in that field, and there are some of the things you read which can be generalized. But when it comes to issue of Ekiti State, that they are not properly situated. Let me take, for example, even though I will come with my just direct goodwill message later, but I know we work with NIMET in Ekiti. I know that. I know we work with NIMET. And what we do is in tandem with both environment and agric. Because we are agrarian society. And you know the policy of the present administration center critically on agriculture and promoting youth involvement there. So, and having realized some of the damages we had in the past, the state government, with the appropriate offices, they have relationship with NIMET that provide the timing of rains and everything and when the farmers are to plant. And of course, if we have such a relationship, it automatically gives us a leeway to which area can be affected. That is number one. Number two, I also want to say that you mentioned the issue of index on the issue of our ecological environment, which vis-a-vis affects the agricultural plantation and the kind of things we can do in other areas. I want to tell you, even up till last week, we have this relationship with the appropriate ministry at the federal, with the federal government. And I will give that in, because I quickly went out here to ask the Commissioner for Agri to provide for me the latest information on that, when you spoke about that. And finally, on the same speech that you gave, this government has been very proactive. In 2022, when we came on board, I'm not going into details of what I know NEMA and SEMA can talk about. Immediately we came on board, a committee was set up in 2022. And I'm talking with my background in the system of Ekiti government as well. I've been involved here, and we know what we are doing. Government, Governor Biodon set up a committee on environmental hazards and situation in Ekiti. And the committee went around the entire state and came up with a report, which had assisted us a lot. Even in the past, when you look at Ekiti, you go to Adebayo area, you go to Ilawe, you go to Ajilosun, you go to Along Poli in Erifun, you move to Ilawe, you go to Irepodu Felodu, you go to Ikere. What you discover is that people are incapacitated during the rainy season. And it was the result of that report that state immediately went into action upon to start to dredge, to do desiltation, and ensuring that we muster a very critical sensitization. Because it's very, very key. Human relationship is very key in these things. Because when rain is a natural thing, when they comes, there are other things that are human thing that we do. And where I'm going is that much as I agree with you on some of these things, as a state government, I think if we should provide, because if we have gone into general platform to look at what can be an aside of a particular environment, it may not necessarily say that Ekiti has not done much. And I want to say that some of the things you have said, we have noted them, and I can assure you this is an eye-opener platform where things can be said and a lot can be gained. And we'll take note of that and relate with the appropriate authority. But I can assure you, Ekiti is proactive. We have data and we provide appropriately when people are talking about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, our Honorable Commissioner for Information, our dear brother, a former Right Honorable Deputy Speaker in this State Assembly, and a man that is fully on ground and what is onions in any capacity you put in is always up to the task. Thank you so much, sir, for coming. We have tapped from your wealth of knowledge, and that was the reason why we ensured that you are here. Thank you, sir, for the enlightenment. Please, I would like to call some of our people here for their contribution. I would like to right now call Dr. Akiwa to give us his insight for 5 minutes because he has another assignment from the executive governor of Ekiti State that he has to rush off to. If I think they ought to have started by 11 a.m. So it's just here to honor us. So we'll not take your time. And we'll be having our second facilitator all the way from London. We gave him 12 o'clock. So he'll be transmitting with us live by 12. Please. And after his own talk, we just people that will be calling just like 5 minutes, please, because of our time. We don't want to stress you out. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mas. Thank you very much. All protocols duly observed. I'd like to, first of all, apologize for coming late. I got information a little bit late, but I'm here because this is a very important topic to deal with. And because I've been given 5 minutes, I would ensure I stick to my 5 minutes. Climate issues are, it's a challenge of the 21st century. And I don't want to go into all the theory. I'm sure Pastor Aberi may have, I missed the session, but listening to the Honorable Commissioner of Information, I can pick a few things from some of the things he may have said. But just to establish that climate issues are, there are issues that is a challenge for us in the 21st century. We can go into the theory of why it is so and why it will continue to be so. But the truth is, so long as we have a roadmap of development the way it is, we would continue to have these climate issues at least for the next 200 years. It's come to stay for now. To reverse what has happened over when data was collected in climate issues, I think about 1861 or 1851, to reverse what happened in the Industrial Revolution, taking us back to where we used to be, would take another 100 or 200 years. But we can fast track it with artificial intelligence and some of the knowledge we have. I wish I had more time. I wanted to use this opportunity again to educate our people on flooding issues. And the reason why sometimes I feel pained when there's flooding, everybody focuses on government and say, we are not doing this, we are not doing that, we are not doing A, B, C, D, E. The issue is because of the way the world has developed, most cities, even the Dutch, the experts in water engineering, the best water engineers in the world are in Holland. They are the best. If you visit Netherlands and see the kind of engineering they've done in that particular country, you would understand what it means to tackle flood. Holland or Netherlands means low land. Nether means low. It's a city that is below the sea level. But after all the engineering, 40 years of top-notch engineering, they decided that we can't engineer ourselves out of this problem. And they started a program they called, I think, Room for the River. The solution is what? Relocate people. Take them away from certain areas, allow the water to flow. The truth is, the way we've developed, there is no way we wouldn't continue to have flooding issues, and there's no way we would not have to relocate some people somewhere down the line in the future. And that has to happen. But with climate, and that's one of the reasons why we have flash flood. There's CO2, there's precipitation, there's a lot of issues, and it's generating all of these things. You will agree with me that, I mean, when I was in secondary school, we used to play football 12 noon. It was nothing to us, 11, 12, 1. Now, it's tough for a child in the dry season, for a child to go outside and play football at that time. It's a serious issue. What I'm saying, in summary, because I'm sure I've hit 5 minutes now, in summary, I'm saying that this is an intervention that requires all of us. Behavioral changes, first and foremost. A lot of behavioral changes. I'm coming from a particular site now where the course of the river or the course of the stream used to go this way, but because, certain things has been diverted another way. And of course, you can engineer yourself out in the short term, but in the long term, there will be issues. To save ourselves from these climate issues we found ourselves, one, we need to have behavioral changes, first and foremost, as individuals. And then secondly, we need to change the way we develop. There's a lot of talk about low carbon, solar energy, and all of that. It could help us, but the truth is, in the mid-term, there's no way we can escape oil and gas. Even as a country, that's where we get our money from. We can't ban all of oil, gas, petrol, gasoline, and all of these things. Yes, we can't ban them, but we can find a way to, incorporate some of these renewable energy solutions to help balance some of the things we are doing. Lastly, I want to, because I missed Pastor Abere's presentation, I just want to reinforce what the Honorable Commissioner has said. We are doing a lot. We have an MOU with NIMET. They came last month, did a training for agric. A lot of ministries were called. In the SAPZ project, we're going to have 3 more weather stations, because our weather stations, the accuracy of predicting weather is based on the number of weather stations you have spread around certain places across town. We have one now that I'm aware of at the airport, but we're going to have 3 more within the next 1 year in the 3 senatorial zones. That way we can capture more data, we can be more precise, and if we step the game up a little bit, we can be able to give advisory, flood alerts, it's going to rain at this time, stay where you are, don't move, and all of that. The government is doing a lot. I can assure all of us, and we'll continue to do more and be better. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doctor. We appreciate those wonderful insights, and we really, really enjoy your short talk. I would like to take Mrs. Famuyiwa. Yes, because I reckon you might be yearning for other assignments, so we don't want to take your time. Okay. Okay,
Thank you.
GM Sema. Okay, then there's a PS environment there. So after PS Sema, then and GM Sema, PS environment will have his own 5 minutes with us.
The committee chairman.
Is SEPA here? SEPA. Okay. Okay, SEPA is not here, but.
The committee chairman and other distinguished members, my honorable commissioner, ladies and gentlemen, because of our time, I want to appreciate the House for this opportunity. It's part of proactiveness of the state government. And you agree with me that each time we have devastating rainstorms in Ekiti State, SEMA has always been feeling the heat, because we'll not be able to sleep, we'll be running around. And in the last few weeks, we've embarked on serious sensitization. Mr. Governor has been doing this quite a while, but it's unfortunate that our people are not really yielding to this our advice. Rainstorms, even though it cannot be prevented, there are certain things we can do to reduce the impact. And I want to speak briefly to the paper I have here, and later I will present it to the House. I have it in Yoruba and I have it in English. Said devastating and recurring rainstorms cannot be completely prevented because they are natural weather events. However, their impact can be greatly reduced through proper planning, infrastructure, environmental protection, and community preparedness. The following measures will significantly reduce the damage caused by rainstorm in Ekiti State. Number 1, strengthen urban planning and development control. enforce building regulations. We have gone to so many places in the last 1 week where we have flooding. We discovered that so many areas, the way the houses were built were not the right thing to be done. Building across waterways, drainage channels being blocked by the way we dispose our waste, despite the enormous resources Mr. Governor has, put in place in Waste Management Authority by providing dino bins, providing vehicles to evacuate this waste. We still indulge in dumping refuse in waterways. It's not the best thing at all. We were at Elemi. If you see the quantum of refuse in that river, there is no way the place will not be flooded. And we witnessed it last week. And the moment water flows onto the road and you are unable to ascertain where to put your legs, that is why we have the kind of problem we had with the Okada man last week, which was very unfortunate. Prevent construction on floodplains and drainage channels. Ensure new buildings meet wind-resistant standards. Most of the buildings are not of the required standard. And that is why we have most buildings, collapsing when you have high wind velocity. Improve drainage infrastructure, and Mr. Governor has been doing a lot in that respect. If you go around, especially around the teaching hospital now, we see the kind of work Mr. Governor is doing. If you go around NTA Ilawe Road, you'll see what Mr. Governor is doing. And there was a time tippers were being used to evacuate the sand in these drainage channels. That is to ensure that we have free flow of water. But it's unfortunate that after this evacuation, we still find people dumping waste in these drainage channels, and which is inimical to our health. Construct and regularly maintain drainage system. Deseed gutter covert waterways before the rainy season. Remove illegal structures blocking water flows. We were at Exu sometime, and we saw the way the hostels were flooded. And when we went around, we discovered that the hostels was built along waterways, and it was not channelized. So we advised the Ministry of Fiscal Planning to liaise with the landlord then, possibly to do proper channelization, or at best to remove the structure so that it will not jeopardize lives and properties. Promote tree planting and environmental conservation. People they are indulged in deforestation, and we pay little or no attention to afforestation. Launch statewide tree planting campaigns, protect existing forests and green belts, replace trees lost deforestation to help reduce wind damage, strengthen public awareness. This we have been doing, and we only pray that our people will listen. Educate residents on preventive measures before, during, and after the rains. Encourage proper waste disposal to prevent blockage of drains. And we advise our people in Ekiti to take advantage of the wheeling bin the Waste Management Authority provides for people at very cheap prices. It will enable us to dispose our waste properly. Educate residents and preventive measures before, during, and during the rains. I've said that. Inform communities about emergency preparedness and safe evacuation procedure. About 2 weeks ago, there was an engagement we had with NEMA, Red Cross, and other stakeholders, where the local emergency management committee, inaugurated by Mr. Governor, at different local governments were invited, and they were trained, so that we can educate our people at the local level on the need to do the proper thing to avert flooding, to avert rainstorm, and avert fire disaster. Improve weather forecasting and early warning system, just like Pastor said. Then the early warning system of a thing, Mr. Governor is also doing a lot. Before now, we had so many equipments that were just dumped in a room, but Mr. Governor has built an edifice where these equipments are now being installed. And that is for the good people of Ekiti State. Disseminate weather alerts promptly through radio, television, social media, community leaders. Ensure local governments act on seasonal weather predictions, strengthen emergency response capacity. We have been going around with Iyalaje, Iyaloja, KBC inclusive. We go with megaphone to marketplaces, sensitizing our people on the right thing to be done during, before, and after rains. Equip the State Emergency Management Agency with adequate funding, rescue equipment, ambulances, and trained personnel. And Mr. Governor is not taking this lightly, because Mr. Governor is out to reorganize SEMA. And like I said in the program I was last week, or early this week, Mr. Governor is number one disaster management, number one disaster manager in Ekiti State. And he has been doing a lot to ensure that SEMA is positioned to be alive to its responsibility. Upgrade public infrastructure. Reinforce electricity posts, public buildings, schools, hospitals, markets to withstand strong winds. Because when you have very strong velocity of wind, that is why you have rainstorm that is destroying other buildings or public infrastructure, including electricity poles and whatever. And the moment these things are, destroyed, it's going to affect the social life of our people. Routine inspection and maintenance of aging infrastructure. Trim or remove trees near roads, schools, hospitals, and residential areas. Inspect roofs, billboard, and utility posts before the rainy season. We discover that many at times when we have rains and that is accompanied by strong winds, you have most of these billboards, electricity pole falling down. And at times it can even affect, moving vehicles. God forbid. Collaborate with relevant agencies, development partners on resilient projects. This thing we have been doing also, like the House is doing. Relevant stakeholders are now gathered together to brainstorm on how best we can do it very well. Because of our time, I will send this thing to the committee, but I still want to advise our people that the rate at which we are disposing our waste indiscriminately, we have to have a rethink, so that the efforts of Mr. Governor on infrastructure development will be appreciated, and then we can remain safe in Ekiti State. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shaulu, for that detailed briefing. I would like to call the next person, the Permanent Secretary of Ministry of Environment. Thank you.
The Honorable Commissioner, sir, the Chairman of the House Committee, other distinguished committee members, I know we have a target for 12, and I'll be very mindful of that. My submission will come specific to the Ministry of Environment and trying to maximize the 5 minutes that I have. I want to appreciate Pastor Abir for the presentation. I appreciate the insights and his knowledge on the field. He was with us before his retirement, and he's a chief meteorologist. And I know he has his onions right there. But of course, because of gap, there may be some things that we need to update him on so that he understands the status of things right now. The mention of the need for us to have climate change desk officers, very, very important for feedback and important information across our MDAs. We already have that now. Yes, we have climate change desk officers in all MDAs, and we are also having it in all LGAs now. That's what the state has done. And it's important to strengthen them, to make them very functional going forward, and we are using them to gather very important information from the field. There's also an ongoing pilot activity we are working together with the national, and that is the Integrated National Environmental Health Surveillance System. Ekiti State is one of the 4 states in the Federation that had been enlisted for that pilot stage. We just had a training done Monday, Tuesday. They are cascading the training in the local government that has been chosen as a pilot, that is Ijero local government. And that's going to help us to use some modern data gathering device to ensure that we get feedbacks from the field on environmental health matters and how it affects the people. And also, we know how important tree planting is to actually mitigate the effect of storm. This year we have started. We appreciate the House for the approvals that we've gotten. We have actually started some pilot activity. We have planted 200 trees, focusing schools, primary and secondary school, and health institutions, while we actually have an ongoing approval that we would expect very soon to plant 1,500 trees in each senatorial district. We got it in on 2006 26 budget, and we are really pushing to finally implement that. We're working with NIMA, just like the Honorable Commissioner mentioned, and I'm happy the TA has talked about the meteorological station. And so that's the state of things with that. And then the dredging equipment procured 2 years ago has been very useful. There's ongoing dredging of major riverways now. It started some few weeks ago as we approached when we saw the need to begin those activities. We need to do some desilting actually, stretching that to some other link roads. And I will say that this storm that we are observing is actually human aggravated natural disaster. It's human aggravated. And the reason why we're having that is that we have observed that every time we evacuate drainage, every time we dredge riverbanks, it only survives few weeks. It only survives few weeks, particularly in the rainy season. When the team went to begin clearing the areas along Pathfinder and the other things, the things they made there were very, very surprising because they did it recently. And so we have that as a major challenge. We need to do a lot around our human factors affecting this. And that's why we come to the issue of enforcement. Enforcement is very key. And whatever we can do to strengthen enforcement will be very useful. Apart from the fact that it helps our people to do the right thing, it saves the rest of us who are not doing the wrong thing, and it saves the government a lot of funding. And so there are different ways we have seen people use enforcement. Each time we put our officers on the field, I'm from the Ministry of Environment, they study the pattern of the people who are coming and they evade those patterns. So if they were dropping those refuse in the morning and they see that you put people there at 5 a.m., they will start dropping it at 12 midnight. And then people are really not changing their attitudes towards this wrong actions that they are actually implementing. So we need to devise new ways to enforce this. And one of the ways that people have used across the world is the issue of technology, trying to track our fields and things like that, making sure that we are able to have a 24/7 presence that everyone knows is functional and everyone knows is a deterrent to whatever wrong things that they are doing. And also, Waste Management Agency, we thank the government also in terms of the waste bins that we procured for the Waste Management Agency, the trucks that were procured also. Some of these trucks have been able to go into streets and neighboring areas that the bigger ones could not go. But there are areas where they needed to use the services of private agencies. One of the challenges we have also had with that is a lot of people do not see the reason why they should engage agencies and have to pay money to pack refuse. And that is one of the things that we need to engage the populace strongly on. The effect of this waste can damage not only the society, but affect our lives. So we need to create an awareness that we are very conscious that waste can actually become something you use your fund to ensure it is evacuated hygienically for your good. And that's one thing we lack in most of the areas that we have need to really expand our activities to. So we need to encourage our waste managers in Ado, because a lot of people, even where they are parking it, they have challenges with getting their funds. And a lot of places rather prefer to burn their waste or drop it in the drainage or drop it in medians. Even recently constructed medians, people still drop refuse there indiscriminately. So those are the key things that we really have observed as a ministry that we need to ensure that we address. So in wrapping up, because of our time, two key recommendations that I would want to draw out of this. Number one is the need for us to strengthen enforcement by the use of technology. We need to do something to create a 24/7 awareness. We need to strengthen tree planting, not only from the government, but from the people. We need to strengthen tree planting, and then the utilization of early warning sign. We release a lot of reports from NIMET that we also domesticate for the state, and we need to encourage our media to also use it. And then, and lastly, we want to commend some media houses who on their own, they bring out programs and jingles that sensitize people on the issue of environment. I want to encourage our media houses to also use their good access to the community to create avenues for effective mobilization and information dissemination to the people on environment-related matters. Thank you very much.
Thank you. While we are waiting for the second resource person or the third one, let me quickly recognize the Speaker of the Ekiti Youth Parliament, Right Honorable Tijani Daniel Babatunde. You are welcome. Also, Right Honorable Fortunate Olorun Timileyin, the Deputy Speaker, you are recognized, and the member representing Ado Constituency 1, Honorable Niniola Babatunde, you are also recognized. Also, I want to recognize the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Works, Engineer Dr. Stephen Bijola, you are recognized, sir. Also, the teacher from St. Thomas, Mrs. Fadams JK, you are also recognized. I think while we are doing that, we can call So let Mrs. Fadams to come forward, please, while we are waiting for the third resource person.
afternoon, Honorable Speaker, distinguished members of the Ekiti State House of Assembly, Honorable Commissioners, Directors of the MDA, traditional rulers present, dear students, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Father Ansi Juliana, a teacher at St. Thomas Secondary School, Irono, Ekiti. It's a great honor to stand before this house today to present findings from my second phrase research title, investigating the impact of rainstorm on residential buildings, commercial shops, and public infrastructure across Ekiti State, 2020 to 2025. My focus is simple. How do we move Ekiti State from relief to resilience? The problem we have, honorable members, every year between March and October, rainstorm hits our states. In the last 5 years, Ekiti SEMA's 2023 and Hartfield data shows that over 2,000 buildings have had roof off in Ado, Ikere, Ijeru, and Boyin local governments. Roads and drainages are flooded, cutting off communities and destroying markets like Ojaoba. Health centers are shut down, and we record peak in malaria, diarrhea, and injury 2 weeks after every major storm. Low-income traders and schools lose their goods, books, and shops, and many never recover because relief comes too late. They attend to them too late. The current approach is reactive. Though Ekiti State government, I give kudos to them because they're actually trying, but we need more, like the Oliver twins. We wait for damages, then we share, like giving them mats and gari. This is expensive, and it is not sustainable. The key points. My study identified 5 major gaps. 1, property. Most buildings collapse because we do not enforce the Ekiti State building. Our primary health centers are not disaster ready. No solar system, no emergency drugs. Livelihood, there is no insurance. A trader loses 300,000 worth of goods and waits 6 months for governments. Governance, we don't have source of data. We cannot plan because we don't know where, when, and how much drainage occurs each year, because we need the geographers, we need GPS, we need GIS to know the positioning of this occurrence. What are the solutions? Honorable members, the solution is not more relief. The solution is resistance, just like my Oga has said. I propose 5 pillars. Number 1 pillar is safety properties. We must mandate the Ministry of Works to ensure the building code. We need building code. If a building is not well standard, then that building should not be approved. We need building code. Every new building must have wind-resistant design. For our people in hotspot area, I propose a resistant housing program with collaboration with the CBN to give subsidized roofing sheets to income families, to low-income families. We must also audit and retrofit all our schools and health centers every 2 years. There has to be a renewal of buildings. Pillar 2, climate-proof infrastructure. Ministry of Environmental should create a GIS drainage master plan for Ado Ekiti, Ikere, Ijeru, Boyin, and Emure, because rainstorms there are very high. The setting must happen every March, not July. We must do it before raining season. With NIMET, that's Nigerian Meteorological Agency weather forecast, this will show us to spend, with NIMET, we should install 10 automated weather stations. This will allow us to send SMS warning to communities 48 hours before strong winds, preventing a cheaper, prevention is cheaper than reconstruction. So we need to prevent ourselves every year. At least give them notice within 48 hours. Hours post-rainstorm health plans. Mobile clinics and free drugs should be ready. Anytime we go, we have such. There should be a ready-made drugs for the affected We must also fumigate and distribute treated nets, which we have been doing in Ekiti, but we still need to put more effort. After flood, and upgrade 10 public health centers to be disaster resilient with solar system and raised floor, because most of our health centers have been condemned because of this, because of flood. Pillar 4, protecting livelihood. Honorable members, poverty is the biggest disaster that we have. I recommend that Ekiti SEMA partner with the NIC, that is the Nigerian Agricultural Insurance Corporation, to create a 5,000 per year micro insurance for our market women and artisans. Then we also need a 500 million livelihood recovery fund to give grants within 2 weeks of the disaster, not 6 months, because anything can happen. Heart attack is everywhere. Distraction is everywhere. So we need to hurry up and do the needful before it is too late.
Thank you.
Pillar 5, sorry, just a little time. Strong pillar and data. Finally, we need a law. I call on this honorable house to pass the Ekiti State Disaster Risk Management and Climate Adaptation Law to make mitigation funding compulsory. Ekiti SEMA should also create a GPS disaster database, and we must train volunteers in all 177 wards for early warning. Materials and stipends should be given. I pray, distinguished members and my dear students, the philosophy is simple. Invest 1 naira in preventing today to save 7 naira in construction tomorrow. If we implement this for 5 years, we can reduce rainstorm damage by 60% and save over 2 million annually. This will also help. Okay, thank you.
Please, because we want to go on live streaming now. So we thank you, we appreciate you, our teacher. She's a nation builder, so we can see it, and she's highly resourceful. Thank you. Now we want to join the online resource person. So please, let us be attentive now. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me clearly? Am I clear? Please confirm that you can hear control and gullying because it has to do with more flooding, and that flooding would then pack in more siltation. It can be to do with buildings, it can be to do with advertising hoardings, it can be to do with electricity poles. So it really goes everything from people's personal investment in their buildings and farms all the way to the large investments that government put. So these are some of the impacts. And in the 5 minutes maybe that remains to me, I want to identify some of the preliminary solutions that we looked at. And I just realized that I've not introduced myself correctly. I'm sorry. My name is Dr. Ollie Owen, and I'm technical advisor to His Excellency the Governor on climate change and forestry. And I apologize for not being with you in person today. I was in Ekiti until just before the election, but I had to travel to the UK to attend to some personal matters. Otherwise, I would have loved to be there. Let me touch on about 5 things that I picked out as potential solutions. So I'm looking here at the way that government can help before the problem happens. We just heard a submission there on what government can do after the problem has happened. And that's important. Palliatives and emergency response are no doubt important. But really, it's more cost effective and better if we can stop the things from happening to start with. So, how can we do this? We look at 5 areas I picked out. Number one is we should be trying to profile the hotspots where this really happens mostly. There are some areas, for instance, where deforestation has exposed places to more extreme weather events. We had, I'm sure my colleagues from the Forestry Commission who were there will remember that last year we had a submission from Okeako community where it was specifically linked to deforestation and the removal of trees by charcoal burners. And that's why their community is more exposed to windstorms that have caused damage. So one is to profile the actual spots where it happens and say, okay, it's no so area, it's happening a lot, and what are the reasons specific to that area? It could be deforestation, it could be another issue. So we have to actually target where in the state is really experiencing the big headaches. Then secondly, I want to point out the importance of urban planning because we have to design our towns, our villages, and our cities very well to be resilient to this. So when you lay out an estate or you make a plan for an urban area, or even when you design your compound, we have to bring into our minds the need to be resilient to windstorm and rainfall. So for instance, if you just cement over your whole compound, the water is going to rush somewhere. If you don't give it to somewhere to soak away to, it's going to rush somewhere, probably into your neighbor's compound or into the road. So we have to have adequate area for water to soak in. If you remove all the trees around and you don't have any barrier to wind, you're exposed to high wind. And equally, when we design our cities and towns, we have to think about where the water would end up going. You know, there's no such place as just away. Water does not run away. Away is not a place, it goes somewhere. Where is it going? So some of the interventions around that, I've talked about profiling erosion hotspot. I talked about urban planning. I'm working with our planners, physical planning, urban and physical planning, to look at this when we lay out estates. We should have some building regulations which build in climate and extreme weather resilience. Whether it is the number of trees that need to be retained, whether it is the surface area that has to be permeable for water to soak away, these things need to be part of our building and planning regulation. The third part, urban tree planting is very key. We learned this lesson. We had an interesting engagement with the City Council of Freetown, Sierra Leone about 2 years ago. They had huge amount of landslides happening in Sierra Leone because people removed trees to use for fuel. They had a huge amount of landslides. So they now targeted the eroded hillsides and they did tree planting there. And they even involved unemployed youths, even up to the level of area boys. And they gave them trees. They said, this is yours to monitor and report on. We have planted. You're the ones that will report. There'll be some level of payment for making sure no one damages them. So you have to have this kind of urban tree planting. You know, it's okay to put trees in a central reservation on a road for cooling and windbreak, this masquerade tree, that's okay, but we need also more trees on our hillsides, trees in our erosion prone and heat prone and wind prone areas, in urban areas. The next one again, number 4, is those rural areas that have had a lot of deforestation. You can see particularly not only Okeako that I mentioned, but also places like Arinta Waterfall and Ikogosi, where some of the hillsides above those places have been deforested. We may be storing up a problem because if we get high rainfall and extreme weather, it can even come and spoil those tourist sites. So that's also rural tree planting, which is important. And then two more, just to say, in towns, we have in towns and cities and outside towns and cities, we need what we call flood attenuation area. That is an area that is naturally allowed to flood. So maybe in dry season, it can be a football pitch, or it can be a small farm for people to do food security gardening, or it can be an open area where people are free to put canopy. But in rainy season, these areas are supposed to be left to flood. So the water would have somewhere to rush to and soak into the ground naturally, rather than now rushing to the next housing estate and damaging lives and properties. And I think the number 5 that we can profitably do is to work with our urban and physical planning people to get some information on building design that is resilient to windstorm. You see in the southern African countries where they have a lot of lightning and windstorm, they have very low cost, low tech solution like putting rubber tire on the roof of their small houses and booths. But there are, other more useful solutions. How do we build in a way that secures a roof? How do we build in a way that makes sure there's adequate throw off for the water so that the water will not run down and ruin a block? How do we make sure that people producing blocks in block industries have the right content of cement so that the block will not just crumble and fall down? So we actually need, 1, inspection to make sure that the buildings are fit for purpose. But 2, let's give people the information they need. Maybe if we can get the best information on building for resilience to rain and windstorm, urban physical planning, building control can work with the information functions of government to enlighten people. If you want to build and you want to be resilient to rainstorm or windstorm, take so tips. There's so information. We can provide information sheet. We can provide, TV and radio guidance so that people's buildings will themselves be more resilient to extreme heat, windstorm, rainstorm, and the other things that we're going to have to face in the coming 25 years. So I think I should pause there in case of any need for clarification or question. Thank you for your attention. I hope that made sense. If there's any question or comment, I'm very happy to take it.
Ladies and gentlemen, if there's anybody who wants to ask any question from Dr. Oli, please, you are free to do so now.
Good afternoon. The committee chairman. Let me start on the existing protocol. I want to commend this committee for this beautiful outing today, and listening to what others said, especially my other colleague from SEMA, because we work together most times, and he has really nailed it. But I want to say this, that let me just make other recommendations that can be of help to the state and to the committee. Well, everybody has spoken, and we are talking of only Rainstorm, but later I discovered that we moved to other areas, all other hazards that are related to rainstorm or to raining season. Of course, the National Emergency Management Agency, we are lucky to have our headquarters for Ekiti Operations Office managing Ekiti and Ondo State here in Ado Ekiti. And ever since we are here, we've been partnering with the state government on many activities. But most organizations or most government agencies see us as a relief agency. Let it happen, then we bring succor to people. But NEMA had shifted from that, from reactiveness to proactiveness. And everybody is aware of that. And that is why I will also commend the state government for having the local emergency management committee in place, though with some issues which we are trying to address with the assistance of the deputy governor who is representing the governor at the board. This program of today is talking about rainfall and other related hazards, rainstorm and flooding and other earth hazards that might accompany this particular issue. And from the prediction this year, some local governments will be affected by flood and other related hazards. I have here Ado Ekiti, Ekiti West, Ekiti Southwest, Gboyin, Idosi, Ikole, Ilejemeje, Ise-Orun, and Moba. And we immediately had a program on sensitization through the State Emergency Management Agency with other relevant stakeholders. The program was held last month at this government hall here. And there we were able to fashion out challenges and how we can tackle those challenges that have to do with rainy season and the flood hazard. But to complement what others had said, and I'm happy when I came in today, I saw some students walking in. I saw youth parliament walking in and other relevant agencies. We have the permanent secretary in our midst. So I would say that one of the most important things we need to address is we need to harness indigenous knowledge and machine to enhance community-based anticipatory action. Because we believe most times we do things at the upper level, at the state level, we don't carry on the people at the grassroots. So this is very, very important. And most times when projects are done by the state, something is still missing. Because from experience and from field work, when you go to some areas, they will tell you that when they are constructing this bridge, they didn't consult them. That is the people in the environment. After government must have wasted money on EIA and some other things. That very aspect is left untouched, and it's very important. Because we discovered that most flood that we experience here, the people in the environment will have averted those things. But because they were not involved, they see it as government thing. Let government face it. Forgetting that they want to lose when this thing happens. So we need to harness that and help people. We need to involve people at the community level. Then somebody has spoken about enforcement, which is very, very important. Somebody has spoken on enforcement and media engagement. most times, especially, let me just give you a sample. The last time we had flooding at Adebayo and some areas, we discovered that the news got to the international media even before the local one. And we discovered that it was people from this state that hear the news without even informing the appropriate authority. You can imagine a news organization in Ekiti reporting the thing online without informing even the state emergency or particular ministry. So we need to work on all this to help us. Then, somebody has spoken about climate change and climate adaptation. Madam, thank you very much for that. And when I saw the students here, it reminded me of what I did when I was in the north. We had, through the collaboration with Ministry of Education and the Teaching Service Commission, we so I'm going to maybe forward all every other thing to the committee to work on, but it's important that we involve the children, the school children, on climate change adaptation. We have a particular scheme that we organize for them. If the state government can buy to that idea, is very important. So thank you very much. Other things to be submitted. Thank you.
Sorry, my own comment again is about the funding in the state. And when you look around and you go around to the entire intervention of the state government in the environmental matters in the state, you will discover that one don't need any soothsayer to agree that there has been an intentional strategy and funding for to make the environment safe. When you have a safe environment, it gives a confidence of wellness for people. And if you look at some of the programs of the government, we all agree with me that where you have agricultural policy, where you have industrial policy, where you need people, you invest in human capital development, safety of the people is very, very important. And this is part of welfare. And when you look at the total number of kilometers that we have done in the state of drainages or dissertations or excavation, when you look at the river courses, they are in huge numbers. In Ado alone, I can tell you we have done a lot of kilometers, not to talk of other neighboring local government and towns that I mentioned the other time. Ekiti is safe, but we are not perfect. And development, issue of safety, even security is a work in progress all over the world. My belief is that since the experts here have talked about the environmental hazard coming from rainfall or whatever, it's a natural thing. But since we have development and you have people therein, we'll continue to invest on keeping Ekiti safe. And I want to assure us, like I always say, that His Excellency and the government of Ekiti is irrevocably committed to ensure that we continue to do things that will make Ekiti people safe, that we make our environment a destination port for everybody to come and work, to rest, and to do business here. These are the things I would just add to what has been said here. And I want to say quickly that I adopt almost all that has been said by government representatives that are here because we work in synergy. And like I said the other time, just recently, the issue of NEMET has been mentioned, that we have an MOU. And we have an holistic plan of the environment in Ekiti. And I can provide the plan for you. Because you are in the you used to be in the system, but you are a professional that, and all of us, I can provide through the committee for us to see. And because I engage with almost all the MDAs in the state, so I can provide this, even not a professional. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, sir. I would like to talk to Dr. Oliver Owen, before he's disengaged. On behalf of the committee, I would like to appreciate you very much, Dr. Oliver, if you are there. I would like to appreciate you for your insight. And I know that the take home of your message is that we should not only think of emergency response, but also to build in resilience so we don't get the big problem to start with. You know, like the Englishman, thank God you're an Englishman, will say that a stitch in time saves 9. So if we prepare systematically and strategically, I know that we'll be able to avoid the big problems from even happening at all, so that we don't start running etasketa every year. Thank you very much, Dr. Owen, for your insight. Thank you for your time. We really appreciate you. And at the end of the day, when the communique is fully prepared, we are going to send it to you so that you know that it has reflected your thoughts. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much, honourable members.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. We'll move to the next stakeholders that we invited. The Director General of National Orientation Agency, Civic Orientation, Mrs. Famiwa. You're welcome.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I want to acknowledge our distinguished personalities on the high table. Permit me to recognize the Honorable Chairman of this Committee on Environment, my darling sister, Honorable Barrister Yabo Kieme, an amiable personality, lovable person. In fact, she's a true reflection of an Ekiti Omoluabi. Please let me jam my hands together for her. I also recognize the Vice Chairman of this committee, Honorable Gushaki. I recognize Honorable Adaramodu Kehinde Anthony. I recognize Right Honorable Taiwo Latumbosun, the Commissioner for Information, under whose auspices I've always had the privilege to be heard in Ekiti State. Thank you so much for creating the platforms for me. I also recognize our distinguished honorable member. You know I'm talking about you, even though the name has escaped my mind. Amotayo. And I also want to recognize the clerk of this committee. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen from the different MDAs, it's such a honor and privilege to be part of this public hearing. Well, after I was initially called, and I was asked to sit down, and everybody had spoken, I was whispering to my neighbor seated here, I said, what else is left to say? Except for rhetorics. But one thing I have understood from my own religion and perspective is that when you buttress or repeat something over and over again for emphasis, it's for the purpose that you can look into it and that you know that is very important. So I have a prepared, which I will definitely submit to this committee. But let me quickly just give us, I'll just speak to the paper because of our time. I'm time conscious. And I've understood one fact that the first is always the last, and the last always the first. I came here very early, even before time. I was seated out there. But yes, I thank you for this opportunity. I know that Ekiti State, we all know, is renowned for its rich vegetation, rolling hills, and agricultural potentials. But due to climatic conditions, it has led to increasingly violent windstorms, accompanied by heavy rainfall, particularly during the rainy season. Communities across the 16 local government areas have repeatedly experienced collapsed buildings, damaged schools, destroyed public infrastructure, uprooted electricity poles, falling trees, damaged farmlands, and prolonged power outages. This is not peculiar to Ekiti State. Currently, I'm aware that Lagos State is experiencing a serious flooding. In fact, my son, where he's resident currently, he sent a video to me yesterday, and I said, for God's sake, please don't climb on Okada during flood. But he said, there's no other vehicle that can carry me except, so I said, you are just putting me in a difficult position now. I'm so apprehensive of what is happening, even in Lagos State now. So how much more our states? And we have been listed amongst those states. This is not the first time. I've been privileged to be on air on Ekiti today, last Thursday. And I have reiterated the fact that repeatedly, over years, Ekiti has always been listed among states that are prone to flash flooding. Thank God for the governor that we have in Ekiti State, who has been so proactive and always been putting measures in place to ensure that we mitigate the devastating effects of this rainstorm. Rainfall is a climatic phenomenon that nobody can stop. Yes, there are some human attitudes that can bring about climatic change, according to our meteorologists. I'm not a meteorologist, but I've been a communicator, an awareness creation officer for 35 years before I retired from NOAA and before I got this job. And we have always been going out to sensitize the public about the bane of our problem. My sister, apart from the fact that we have climatic conditions, which is a global issue, is our attitude towards this phenomenon. A lot has been said, so that I don't bore us with rhetorics. A lot has been said concerning our attitude towards these factors. A lot of bush burning. Instead of people getting waste bins, I live in GRA, third extension. I usually do a walk in the morning. I did one this morning, and I saw a lot of places where you expect that learned people, justice, magistrates, live, and in the frontage of their house, you see the way they park their bins by the gates. How much does a waste bin cost? I have one in my house where I live. You dump it there, let the waste management officers come. They cut it away. How much do we pay per month? At most between 2,000 and 5,000 naira for environmental cleanliness. But you see a lot of people dump waste, and some even burn it. I wish I had taken some photographs this morning to bring to this public hearing. You will be able to understand what I'm saying. So we see a lot of we need a lot of attitudinal reorientation of our people. I'll bring up my recommendations, but I just want to quickly do a cursory look at the devastating effects of rainstorm, because this is what this public hearing is all about. We see the devastating effects, which I number innumerable. Destruction of residential buildings. We have experienced it in Ado and in some areas in Ekiti State. Damage to public infrastructure. Threat to life, human life. Lives have been lost by reason of the devastating effects of rainstorm. You see an Okada rider seeing heavy deluge of water, flood, and he wants to dare it. Where even vehicles fear to tread, they will go into that flood, and they are swept away. We also see this devastating effect also affects our economy. We suffer economic losses by reason of this rainstorm and its effect. We see agricultural destruction. A lot of agricultural produce are swept off by this. Destruction of electricity supply, environmental degradation. We have said it, and I've said it severally that the meteorologists have said it. The moment you uproot a tree, the heart condition is affected. Apart from the fact that it serves as a windbreaker, it serves to solidify the soil so that when deluge of water is coming, there's a way this root of the tree stabilizes that water and it makes it to sink down. But the moment you uproot a tree and you don't replant another one, you are causing a lot of damage to that soil surface and can even lead to erosion of the surface. So we also see that devastating effect. Then psychological and social impact. Families are affected when there are damages. Yes, where are they now? They've gone. SEMA, they can rise to disaster management after there are losses. But the loss, the compensation cannot be commensurate with whatever you have lost. So like you said, to Owen, prevention is always better than cure. And even that prevention is cheaper than cure because care will be more costly. And let me also borrow from my language. Ojuapa kunda bi ojuara. No matter what, even if they give you money to roof your house, it cannot be the same way it was before. Because even the artisans that we have nowadays, they do damaging effects. And the quality of materials they even have these days cannot be like the one you had when you even built the house. So there are so many effects of this rainstorm. Then there are cases of rainstorm damage in Ekiti, like we know, because we are all Ekiti, indigenes and residents. I won't bore us. We have cases in Kole, in Ado, in fact, I was one when I was still in my former organization that we went to Ilawe then. We saw the effect. Ilawe is also prone to flooding. But thank God our governor did the dredging of the canal there, and this was mitigated. We also have cases in Moba because of our time in Ekiti East, in Ado. Currently, Ado has witnessed so many. So let's look at factors that contribute to this severity of this damage. We have climatic condition and increasing extreme weather events, poor compliance with building standards and regulations. We have to look at this. Our builders, our planners. My son just said, Mom, once I finish serving in Lagos, I'm not working in Lagos. Initially said he wanted to work in Lagos, but he said, I want to now work in Abuja. Why? Because Abuja is not flooded. Abuja is better planned than Lagos. And it's true. So where there's good planning, some of these things can be mitigated. So there's weak enforcement of physical planning laws. Yes, we have rules and regulations. But unfortunately, I'm sorry to say this, I know we are online, our law enforcers are our first law breakers. Those that are even supposed to, it's true. When you are driving and you are a light, what do you call it, traffic light, stops vehicles and other vehicles stop. But watch those that are in convoy or whatever, or law enforcers, they just drive through the traffic. And they are supposed to be examples for others to follow. So we must take cognizance of this. Then we have inadequate drainage infrastructure. When I was on air last week, I told them, everybody should ensure that they have proper drainage system around their houses. This will mitigate whatever water that is flowing. Once the drainage system in front of your houses are well cleared, no matter the deluge of water that is coming, it will flow through those drainage systems. But the moment you have already seen, some even have gutters in front of their houses, and they now use concrete to cover the gutters. So when refuse or debris is being flown or brought from other places, it gets under your gutter. You cannot see it. It stays there because sands are also packed. So it stays rooted under and you begin to experience flooding. And water will always find its level. You can't stop water from flowing. And that is why you have Omiyale, Agbaraya shop. Water will find its course and will take another route that you don't want and you don't expect. So we see some of these factors. Then we have said it, deforestation and environmental degradation, poor maintenance of public infrastructure, limited public awareness on disaster preparedness. This area, I don't want to say much because my organization deals with not after effects. my organization is supposed to be preventive, create awareness before. But we see in this climate, we don't want to spend money to prevent. We rather like to spend money to cure. So limited public awareness on disaster preparedness, rapid urban development without adequate environmental planning. These are some of the causes of these devastations that we experience. So let me recommend, because of our time, the recommendations I have to mitigate against these devastating effects of rainstorm are as follows. 1, government should strengthen enforcement of building codes to ensure that structures can withstand severe weather conditions. In Lagos State, a lot of building codes are not observed. You see skyscrapers falling very close to each other. A lot, we see a lot, but I pray we don't experience such in Ekiti anymore. Because I remember a few months or a year ago, along Bank Road, that building that collapsed, there was I'm sure they didn't observe building code. Then 2, there should be investment should be increased in resilient public infrastructure, including roads, drainage systems, schools, hospitals, and public buildings. 3, comprehensive urban planning and environmental management policies should be strictly implemented to prevent indiscriminate development. I want to please lend my voice to that suggestion and recommendation concerning the monitoring of our refuse disposal methods. They said, Ministry of Environment, they have put people to observe, but they have already studied them that maybe if they bring their enforcers in the morning, they come in the night or in the evening. Why can't we have CCTV cameras placed in our environments where there will be somebody stationed at a station where they monitor those environments? There will be shifts. Those that will be observing during the day. Some of us have CCTV cameras in our homes. Don't we observe, even when we're outside the country? Sean, so please, I think this lies within your purview. We monitor our homes even when we're outside the country. We monitor those that are around our. Why can't we do that on our streets? We don't have to. Our law enforcement agents, traffic law, you don't need to run after a vehicle in advanced countries that break the rules. Run, break the traffic law. The next thing you just know that they knock on your door, give you tickets because they have observed through the camera. The plate number will have been taken and all that. So can't we can develop to that level and even beyond. Because I know we are making waves in even foreign countries. Nigerians are making waves wherever we are located. So let's borrow from this tradition. Then there should be massive tree planting and environmental conservation programs, which should be intensified to reduce wind impacts and improve ecological stability. The State Emergency Management Agency, I think they've gone, and other relevant institutions should receive adequate funding. I know they have adequate funding, equipment from this current government, and training for disaster preparedness and emergency response. Early warning systems should be strengthened through timely weather forecast and effective public communication using radio, television, social media, community leaders, and local institutions. Public enlightenment campaigns should educate citizens on preventive measures before, during, and after rainstorms. Electricity distribution infrastructure should be upgraded to improve resilience against severe weather conditions. And a dedicated emergency relief fund should be strengthened to provide assistance to victims of natural disasters. But last but not the least, communities should actively participate in disaster risk reduction through neighborhood emergency response initiatives. Let us not wait for government for everything. A lot of gutters, I see them along, what this road now? This NTA road. Let's do it. I know you do, what do you call it? Committee oversight. Thank you, ma. When you can walk along that, you see from Voice FM, those gutters, a lot of the heap of sand have been deposited in the gutters, and they're already withstanding, and grass is growing from it. So when there's huge flooding, it stops, and it will veer into areas that are not supposed to. So let's do this. And in conclusion, the increasing incidence of destructive rainstorms in Ekiti is no longer merely a seasonal inconvenience, but a significant environmental, social, and developmental challenge. Addressing this issue requires collective action involving government, traditional institutions, community leaders, civil society organizations, the private sector, and every citizen. Let us take ownership. Let's tell our people, don't wait for government for everything. We can go out, clear our gutters, even those that are not rightly in front of our house. We can do some community help and voluntary work, because these are some of the criteria that they will use to employ in foreign countries. They will ask you what voluntary have you done before, so it adds to their CV. We can also do that. And as we deliberate, it is important that our discussions translate into practical policies and measurable actions that will strengthen resilience, protect lives and property, and safeguard the future of our communities. Together, we can build an Ekiti state that is better prepared, more resilient, and capable of withstanding the growing challenges posed by extreme weather events. I want to thank you so much once again, the Committee on Environment, for this opportunity given to my bureau to lend voice to this public hearing. Thank you all. God bless you for hearing me.
Thank you, DG Civil Orientation, for that brilliant submission. Next, we would like to call on Minister of Works, the representative of Minister of Works. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I don't know whether it's afternoon, man. Good afternoon, sirs and man. I stand on the existing protocol. Because of time, I wouldn't want to go into all others have said. And likewise, I wouldn't want to go into the theories, the effects, and the causes. So I'll go straight into what concerns Ministry of Works. My sister raised an issue about building. I want to stand there to make that correction that Ministry of Works is not connected to building construction, physical and urban planning, as well as, no, not you. You are my sister, I know, but not you. I think from St. Thomas Primary School or Secondary School, our Bureau of Special Projects and Urban, Physical and Urban Planning are in charge of that. And at the same time, NEMA made mention of contacting the community before we construct our channels, culverts. Many a times we do, but I will say something here. When you meet people who cannot give an adequate information, it's always a problem. Some will tell you, because what we normally do is we ask them, when there is rain, does it get to your hip, your this and it now depends on when that person is there. Because in actual fact, many people after rain don't go out. So the person you meet and the information you get from that person determines what you do. And from my submission, I think when I keep talking, we'll know to go about some things. Like in Ministry of Works, we deal with localized problem. What I mean is, if we are constructing this road, we get to a point and we try to gather information around that point. But I feel since after the creation of Ekiti State, there have been influx of people into Ekiti, and the development of Ado-Ekiti and some other environments has increased tremendously. Now, it implies that many infrastructures that we construct in terms of line drain, culverts, that were adequate before creation of Ekiti State, now they are no more adequate. And I would say as well that even the ones we are constructing at the moment, I believe in the next 10, 20 years, they might not be adequate. And what I feel, there is supposed to be collaboration. Like 30 years plan. That, okay, we have Ado-Ekiti. What was the land in Ado-Ekiti? There is one thing I want us to know. When there is rain, on developed area, the rate of percolation is high. But immediately you start developing, we flood our buildings. And by the time we flood our compounds, it implies that the runoff that we generate even from our compound will keep increasing. And this is what led to our infrastructures not being adequate after some time. So here, I would say that there is need to have one, maybe a committee, that brings about every professionals connected. Let us have like 30 years plan of drainage system. Now, when we have that, Now, when we have that, we'll now know in so-so area, the channel that should be produced will be so size. So anytime we are to construct road, we don't really need to think or probably start looking for data. We just go to that plan. Fine. This thing we are making, it might look expensive now, but it's going to save money in the nearest future. 2, people were talking about roof. There is something, it's quite easy to talk about quality, quite easy to talk about how to go about things, but there are some fundamentals. If you go to market, sir, as of today, if you are to buy 3x4 plank, you'll be buying 2x3. If you are to buy 2x2, you are likely to be buying tar rod. So we have to start taking it from there, because when you are enforcing something to be done and the material to do it is not in the market, what do you do? So I think we should have a committee, because one, tabati mulatile, I'm sorry I speak my dialect. Yeah, tabati mulatile, ashuru, easy lati mulatori. But when we are taking it from top and the foundation is weak, we can never achieve anything. So I believe there should be a committee, probably they start going around the sawmill and check. Like as we have Standard Organization of Nigeria, if your plan does not meet up, they take it away. Then about the issue of behavioral, that's people that put debris inside channels. If we don't enforce and practice some things, they will never stop. Now, the action or the rule of taking them to court, or probably jailing them or fining them, fine, it might reduce, but it might not stop it. I would suggest anyone being caught, community service. That thing you are causing, solve it yourself. And do you know, if we go into that, government might end up spending so less on dissertation. Because if you are caught, I will say, okay, go to NTA road, desilt 10 or 20 meters, and if you feel you are too big to desilt, pay for additional. Instead of you desilting 10 meters, now if you want to pay, you pay for maybe 20 or 30 meters. So from there now, you see that people will start sitting tight. And when you get such people, there is one thing people don't like. Publicize them. Put them on dailies. Put them inside television. When your face shows that, well, you have done this and now, some people will naturally, some people will naturally desist. Now, we were talking about tree planting. Yesterday we were in the program. You were there with us, man. Where we heard that there is a law that says if you cut one tree, plant 5. But there is one thing that came to my mind when that was said. Must you wait to cut before you plant? Like, I'm so impressed when I was looking through the window. House of Assembly demonstrated what we are campaigning here. If you look through, you see trees. And if you travel to many developed countries, when you're inside the plane and you look down, you ask yourself a question. Do we have buildings in some of these places? Now, I would rather suggest that can't we come up with a policy of one house, one tree? Because when we are talking of planting trees, we are neglecting the city centers, we are neglecting the townships, we are neglecting the villages. We only concentrate on where they are cutting trees. And when this wind comes, probably it doesn't have effect there. So the policy of one house, one tree, and when you are now up there, you start asking yourself how many buildings are. When you get to Lagos, you'll be so disappointed when you're inside the plane. The only thing you see is roofs. So that might be a very good way to start it. Like House of Assembly, you have your trees there. Immediately after House of Assembly, outside that road, you don't see trees anymore. What has happened? Sorry. Then I talk about enforcement. When I heard yesterday that there is a law of cut one tree, plant 5, I asked myself, I was born here. I grew up here. I spent most of my time here. I never heard about that law. That's true. I don't know very many of us are aware of such. So, only one person say yes. Maybe it's used to House of Assembly. So, it implies that, one, publicity. If you have a law, we have this public hearing now, probably it's going to be on air. After a certain time, people will forget about this. The law will come out, and people will not know about it. But there is nobody in this country that can tell us when the tax law was to be enforced. All of us knew about it, talk about it, debate about it, and public awareness, a lot of trainings. So with that, it was planted in our mind even before implementation. Sirs, our advice, this type of law, let us publicize it. Let us debate it. Let us have it. Let us even have trainings on it. And I believe when we do all these things, a time is coming that when you come to Ekiti and you are up there, you ask a question. And the question is, where are the houses? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, representative of the Ministry of Works. We're happy to have you here. Please, would like to move on to the next person, NGO TG head, Barrister Shea. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't think I will even use up to 5 minutes. Can I stay? Yeah. All protocol duly observed. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to first appreciate the Committee on Environment. Madam Chair, well done for all you're doing, and I'm always inspired by your passion for the environment, so thank you so much. And distinguished ladies and gentlemen, for me, we've been in this space for a while, or let me say I've been in this space for a while. We've attended a lot of gatherings where we talk about the problem. And let me tell you, emphatically, everything we are saying today and all the recommendations. Last year, I've been opportune to be in one place or the other. It's the same thing we spoke about. It's the same recommendation. 2 years ago, the same thing. So I sat there and I'm like, okay, sometimes I get so demotivated, about the space I find myself, because I can't count how many times we've been on the radio program, sensitizing, talking, and all that. I can't count the number of conferences and workshops and gatherings where they will come and do presentation and then we'll deliberate, and that is it. So, and that was why I said I won't have up to 5 minutes. All I'm begging, and I think at this point I have to beg. All I'm begging, I know we are all doing fantastically well. I want to applaud my powerful PS of the environment. The NEMA was here. I think they stepped out. We've been together also for years. SEPA, House Committee. But I think we have to move from talking to action. And to move to action, we need on all hands at deck. I think I'm looking forward to a gathering where everyone will not talk about, oh, this is what we are doing in our ministry, but this is the commitment. In 3 months, in 6 months, when we gather again, or next year when we gather again, I'm coming to account for what I promised that I will do. I would have loved the communities affected to be here as well, because we always think, oh, government should do everything, government should do everything. But in this kind of gathering also, I think it would have been very nice if they are here to share their experience and to also know that the government is trying to work around stopping or mitigating all this disaster. And they will be the ambassador in their community to explain or to sensitize other people that let's work together so that this do not happen again. So, Madam Chair, I would recommend that in this kind of gathering, we want to also hear from those communities. We want to hear what they went through, and for them also to be part of this discussion. One of the, I can't remember the person that spoke that we should start doing things from bottom up, not top bottom. So we have to start involving this community. We have to hear from them, and they also need to understand that they are part of the decision. To cap it all, I think I have one. I want to speak on the enforcement issue. We are in Nigeria. Most times when we talk about, oh, we should, it's working so well in abroad, so we should do it, technology, blah, 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 like that. But I think sometimes we need to step back and be realistic with our issue. Yes, we can't ordinarily achieve using AI now because we've not, they started maybe 50 years ago. We are just starting, so we can't get to that level they are. So, yes, so we actually need to be realistic with ourselves. We need to create policies that are workable. And when I say workable, that reflect our reality, not the reality of somebody living in UK or the reality of somebody even living in Kenya. So we really, when we are making policies and discussing, let's always look inward, let's reflect our reality. And one of the suggestions that I want to make in terms of enforcement is we know that they will even remove the camera overnight. So one of the recommendations that I want to, I know while I was growing up, this road safety was not only there was no road safety, road safety corps then. Organizations and individuals will, I can't remember, but I know that I know my dad was part of road marshal. You know, he's an individual, a private citizen, but he is so passionate about this road. So I think I can't remember specifically, but there's a time where they all go out and, you know, check and all that. And they were so passionate without being paid. So for enforcement, I think we should also look for citizens that are passionate in this space so that we don't only use, there's a limit to the capacity of the ministry. So and they don't have to be paid. They are just doing it as a community service, pro bono. So the ministry could even give them like a name to, and you know, the way they wear this jacket as marshal, those days, special marshal and all that. And they would do it diligently and with passion, complementing what the enforcement officers are doing. So I'm just going to cap it all that whatever we are doing before we leverage on technology, which I believe every country should leverage on. But before we get to that point, let's also use our local idea, our local, you know, how we have as a community and use it to achieve whatever result we want to achieve. On the final note, and finally, thank you. And I personally look forward to the recommendation and how we want to move from talk to action. Thank you so much.
Thank you for not using 5 minutes.
Thank you, TGED Foundation, Barrister Sheyi. Because of our time, we would like to call on Ministry of Physical and Urban Planning.
Thank you very much. Please permit me to use the chairman of the Committee on Environment as the point of contact to all people on the high table because of our time. And I want to greet you all for this opportunity. I want to say one or two things as it affects our ministry, Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development. Number one thing I want to say is this problem emanated, the problem of flooding emanated from absence of a master plan. Yes, because there is this common sense that if you fail to plan, plan to fail. And at the same time, I want to give it to this present administration. They are working earnestly on how to make sure Ekiti State have their own master plan. That as it may. The issue of flooding as it affects Ado in general emanated from Olorunda, Olorunsogo, Ikigbinsi, Ijadu area, because that place is urban sprawl. There is no plan. They just build haphazardly. And why? Because the majority land there belongs to government, is acquisition. So as a result of that, it is very difficult for us to carry out enforcement there. So they are just building anyhow. And I want to say it is very important for every landowners in the Ekiti State to be part of this program. They are the ones selling waterways. When they might have finished selling all the lands, they will be moving around looking for where to sell again. They will be selling waterways to these people. And some people, maybe out of ignorance, I wouldn't know, they will buy, or desperation, thank you, ma. They will buy waterways and begin to build. And now, somebody asked the other time that, do we have law? Yes, we have law. Urban and Regional Planning and Development Law, number 3 of 2011. And also we have Building Code and Regulation of 2017. Those are the laws that we are being used because we are working under the ambit of these two laws. But we are incapacitated somehow to carry out all these law. One of the laws says, if you are building without authorization from the concerned ministry, it is the duty of that ministry to go there to demolish immediately and make you as a developer to pay for the cost of demolition. Are we doing that? Are we doing that? It is part of our law. So, and again, we are talking some of those things that make us to be incapacitated. Again, is mobility. There are times we move out with our private vehicle to monitor, to inspect the development in the state. And we are also short-staffed. We are the only ministry that still maintain area offices across the state. We have, and because of thorough and effective monitoring, we divided Ado into 4 zones so that there should be thorough monitoring. But yet, we need mobility. In Ilejemeje, we have just only 1 officer covering the whole local government. Yes, ma. So those are the things that makes enforcement to be difficult for us to do. And I want to say this, ma, with all due respect and humility. Even the little enforcement we are able to do within our capacity, we experience political interference. Yes. I want to believe we all understand the Yoruba. Ẹni tó ń ṣe ká mọ̀ pé ká ló ń ṣe. Ṣùgbọ́n ó ń dúró de ẹni tó máa sọ fún pé ihun tó ṣe yẹn kò tọ́. So as a result of that, when they are doing all of these things, they want to look for a power that be to back them up. Not giving them the whole pictures of the story. They will not tell them that I'm about to build some a structure in a social area because I didn't pay, they disallow me to do it. Look, I want to say it to every member of public here in this gathering. Payment to government is a kind of a little commitment. The whole benefit of you having your building plan is for you. Is for you. Take for example, if there is problem in the court of law, the judge will ask for your building plan. So it is mainly for the developer, but they are not seeing it in that way. They are seeing it as if they are doing government good, the favor. So that is that. If we can, chairman, we can do something about that political interference. That will give us opportunity to discharge our duty as expected. Please, ma, that is the major thing that we are facing. There are times we go out to enforce. We enter a particular building. If first of all, construct a wall fence, put gate, and put padlock, and walking inside the house. So we have been going there a series of time. We don't have access to this first day. We went there, so we met the gate open, and we entered. You know what he did? He loosed his dogs and locked the gate that we are going to. Those are the hazards we face on faith. So you help us to. And again, the issue of Olorun Da Olorun Shogo is calling for attention, urgent attention, because when the problem emanated from the unplanned environment, the effect will go straight to the planned area. And what do we have? Even this, the flood that swept away the Okada man happened along behind the what's this? The name of this filling station, Faglo. Yes, the problem emanated from that area. There are times if you get to some area, it's landlocked. We have some building around at the center, no access to such a building, and there's nothing we can do except if the government can empower us. Let us remove the political interference or any form of sentiment for us to pick like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 houses and pull it down. Any building that builds on the waterway should go. There's no two ways about it. Should go. So that is how we can get it right. And I've said the issue of understaffing. Yes, that is one of the problems we are having. And on a final note, I want all of us to know to be addressed with the terrain of Ekiti, that Ekiti is hilly in nature. And when we want to build, we should be intentional about that terrain before we build. Because if we experience building collapse, they will mention Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development. The issue of building collapse that happened in Ejero sometimes last year or 2 years ago, yes. We were called that what is the cause of the and it is structural defects that cause that problem. And my thanks goes to this present administration. It was as a result of that incident that gave birth to establishment of Building and Development Control Department. Yes, we have that department in our ministry, but there's no mobility for them to move. They are not for Ado alone. They are for Ekiti State. Anywhere they are building in Ekiti. So that is the problem we are facing. We are trying our best to make sure we enforce all this law that empowers us. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, representative of the Ministry of Urban and Planning Department. I would like to call on another NGO, Southwest Niger Delta Conservation. Welcome.
I hope I'm not the last presenter because of my small stature. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma. Because of time, let me embrace the existing protocol. I don't want to stand on it so that it doesn't break. Thank you. Please, before I start my presentation, there was sir, when you presented, sir, you mentioned that we have to strengthen our meteorological data in Ekiti. And the daddy that defended that, I think the daddy is no more on. So that's just by the way. I think my time starts now because that's not part of my presentation. Thank you so much. So the protocol has been duly observed. I don't need to go into that again. My name is Shion Adejuwon, and I'm representing the project director, Southwest Niger Delta Forest Project. In Southwest Niger Delta Forest Project, we are dedicated to conserving endangered and threatened wildlife species and protection of fragile forest habitats. And in Ekiti State, since 2021, we have been conserving it's a forest conservation area with the Ekiti State government. I want to mention something again. Most times we think governments are not concerned about the environment. Actually, they are concerned. When we talk about government are the people, and we are the people. No, when we have people that are passionate about the environment, they can actually help us to implement some of these things. Why I'm saying this is because the creation of the forest conservation area happened during the tenure of our mommy when she was the Honorable Commissioner for Environment. I think she deserves a round of applause for that. Thank you so much, mommy. If you can have 10, 20, 50 people like her in this state, I believe Ekiti State will become a model of environmental sustainability. Mommy, I appreciate you once again. Thank you, ma'am. So a lot has been said on the devastating effects of rainstorm in Ekiti State, and I don't want to overflood us with some of the things that have been said in the past. I have my speech here. I can give it to the organizers of the program. They can look into it after the program. But one thing I want to mention is that we have to strengthen forest protection in Ekiti State. Currently now in Ekiti State, the only protected area is a forest conservation area. And it's just a gazetted area of 33.3 square kilometers. Inside the entire is a forest reserve. So that's too small to actually build the kind of environmental sustainability and resilience we hope for in Ekiti State. And for us to be able to protect our forest in Ekiti, I put down some of the things we have to do. Number one, we have to prevent illegal logging. Whether illegal or illegal, just permit me to speak any grammar. We have to prevent illegal logging in Ekiti State. You know, sometimes most of our forests are being destroyed for timber processing, charcoal production, and other things. And, you know, by the time forest is lost, the natural shield, the natural windbreak of that ecosystem is gone. There's an adage in Yoruba that afẹ́fẹ́ kì í fẹ́ kó má kan igi oko lára. Igi oko is our forest. So when the forest is removed and the afẹ́fẹ́ is blowing and there's no igi oko to accommodate the afẹ́fẹ́, what do we expect? The afẹ́fẹ́ will just sweep everything on its way, including assets and properties. And that is what we are experiencing today. So for us to reduce this risk of rainstorm, we have to actually prevent illegal logging in Ekiti State. And this issue of illegal logging has also bring about problem in this issue of substandard buildings. Some people all in the name of, I must do December in my house, I must do Christmas in my house. They went and carry off all sorts of 2 by 3, 3 by whatever that are not even matured enough to roof their buildings. And these are the things that are causing all these issues. Then we have to expand forest protected areas. Just as I've said, the only forest protected area in the whole local government in Ekiti State is a forest conservation area. No other one. We have forest reserves, about maybe 9 of them. We have other forests in Ekiti State. So we can also engage NGOs. Even if governments cannot do it all alone, they can engage NGOs to do some of these things for them. And many of us that are working, not even many, all of us that are working in a forest conservation area, we are all indigenes of Ekiti State, with about 90 of them, members of the community of Ekiti. So all these things, they are interconnected. As the forest is protected, we are protecting the lives of people in the community. Because most times, unprotected forests are the den of kidnappers, bandits, and all these insecurity issues that we are talking about. But when the forests are protected, no bandits can go to a protected area and perform their atrocities. And apart from that, the livelihood of people in that community will be sustained. Many of us are graduates, some are not graduates, and we are employed. And we are, they've relieved the government the burden of saying they have so many unemployed people in the community. Then we must strengthen enforcement of environmental laws. I'm aware of forestry laws in Ekiti State, but I'm not sure if we have environmental laws, sir. I'm not sure if there are environmental laws. Okay, they are still in the making. We have, okay, thank you so much. But where environmental law exists, are there enforcement and compliance? When I mean enforcement and compliance, there must be strict enforcement and compliance in a way that we ensure that we regulate human impacts on our ecosystem. Then, when we say we are protecting forest, we must provide alternative livelihood for people that are forest users. Some people's livelihoods depend on the forest, and when you say you want to protect a particular forest, probably you want to copy a forest conservation area in your own local government. And you just say, oh, Lagbegi driver, oh, timber contractor, yeah, get out of the forest. And you didn't provide alternative livelihood for them, it won't be easy at all. So providing alternative livelihood options for them in form of agribusinesses and other livelihood options will actually enhance our forest protection in Ekiti State. And that will involve the government providing additional or expanding funding and allocation for forest management in Ekiti State. I'm just trying to rush myself so that, thank you, sir. So then we must promote environmental education. We can teach our children about environmental education in schools. There's a particular subject in our secondary school. I don't know if that exists for primary school. We call it Ekiti Value. So that Ekiti Value subject, thank you, ma. Environmental education can be integrated into it. We don't need to create a separate subject for that. So we have seen it's a forest conservation area as a model of forest that can actually help us to mitigate or reduce the effects of some extreme weather events that we are experiencing in Ekiti State today. But despite these successes, a single protected area cannot provide all the ecological security that Ekiti State requires. So greater environmental, social, and economic benefits can only be achieved if protected conservation areas are established across all local governments in Ekiti State, or at the minimum throughout all government forest reserves in the state. As the saying goes, a tree does not make a forest. It's a forest conservation area cannot function as an isolated island of protection. Ekiti State needs a connected network of well-managed forests that are protected, restored, and enriched with native tree species. So expanding conservation efforts across the state will strengthen climate regulation, reduce the impact of rainstorm, flooding, erosion, and other extreme weather events. So in conclusion, we have seen the devastating effects of rainstorms. I have them in my presentation, but I don't want to go into that again. So in conclusion, we now know that environmental protection is no longer optional, but it is essential for economic stability, public safety, and sustainable development. So we must look into how Ekiti State can become a model for climate resilience, environmental sustainability, and green economic development. And achieving this, government cannot do it alone. They need the partnership of governments, of NGOs, developmental partners, and behavioral change of every one of us to build a safer, greener, and more resilient Ekiti for the present and the future. On a final note, sir, I want to appreciate the government of Ekiti State. I want to appreciate the good people of Ekiti, ably and heavily represented here. Thank you so much for the creation of a forest conservation area. I want to appreciate the management, colleagues, rangers, partners, and donors at Southwest Niger Delta Forest Project. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. That was a brilliant submission from the Southwest Niger Delta Conservation. We would like to call on the next person, the Youth Parliament, Ekiti State. Youth Parliament. I think we have the speaker, the leader, and the deputy speaker. So we'll give you 5 minutes, please.
because of our time, I would be standing on the already established protocols. Right Honorable T.J. Sudani Babatunde, the Speaker, Ekiti State Youth Parliament, 5th Assembly, representing the good people of Mobile 1 local government. Before I start my position paper on the devastating effect of rainstorms, flooding, erosion, and inadequate drainage infrastructure in selected communities across Ekiti State. First, I would like to appreciate the Governor of Ekiti State, His Excellency Governor Biodun Abayomi Ibanji, for his support for the youth, for the way he has given us the leverage for our voices to be heard. And I also appreciate the Speaker, Ekiti State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Aribasoye Stephen. The State Youth Parliament representing youth across the 16 local government of Ekiti State. We respectfully present this position paper to the House Committee on Environment, Ecology and Climate Change. I'll be submitting this after I am done with just a preview of it. Now, we received a report from the honorable members in the affected regions. The Parliament observed that flooding, erosion, and inadequate drainage infrastructure continue to threaten lives, destroy public infrastructure, disrupt economic activities, and expose residents to environmental and public health risks. While heavy rainfall contributes to this disaster, poor drainage system, blocked waterways, weak enforcement of environmental laws, and rapid urbanization have significantly worsened this situation. This paper, we highlighted the affected communities. We identified the major causes, the impact, and at the same time, we should not just state problems. We try to provide solutions to what we have in the current economy. Now, our observations from our researches in various local governments, from each member representing each of the constituencies that we have in the 26 constituencies of Ekiti State. The Parliament identified the following communities as being affected by recurrent flooding, erosion, and inadequate drainage infrastructure. We identified in Ado Ekiti, the along Shogo axis, along that axis, the Odo-Ado, Adebayo, Bashiri, Ajilosun, Irewumi Zone 4, and the Midas area. Likewise, in Roko Ekiti, we had recommendations from those affected communities in Okimesi Ekiti, Idoile Ekiti, and the total to Temidire corridor, opposite AUD Nursery and Primary School, Ikole Ekiti. We also look at Korogun Street, that's Ward 8, and Okeosun Street, leading to Surulere Street, Ward 9, Igbara Odo Ekiti, and UBA Street and Ilodo Street in Ogotun Ekiti. So we actually look at the challenges. We sent our members to observe those areas and see the issues we have. And from our field research, we realized that the challenges we have there are actually flooding of residential buildings and business premises. There were severe erosion, damaging roads and public infrastructure in those areas. Likewise, we noticed there have been inadequate or poorly designed drainage systems in some of those areas. We have overflow of streams and waterways, obstruction of drainage channel by refuse. We also have the failure of bridges and culverts during heavy rainfall. All of these things actually led to disruption of transportation, education, healthcare, and commercial activities, thereby increasing environmental and public health risk in those affected areas. Now, to the Committee on Environment, our plea is for us to talk to the government. We are also the government. So we are, as the junior government, we are pleading to the senior government to please help us look at how we can have immediate intervention required in these areas. We make few recommendations here that along the Irewumi, Zone 4, the Midas area, Jesus Cathedral exists in Bashiri, Ado Ekiti. We look at if there can be construction of a standard drainage channels in those areas. Likewise, if there can be expansion of the Adewumi to along Shogo Bridge and its drainage system. Also, if there can be construction of a reinforced concrete culvert along the Rose Street corridor and drainage along Ijano Street to Odoba Street in Okemesi, Ekiti. We also look at if the government can assist us in rehabilitation of the Palace Road and Oguna Street drainage in Idoile, Ekiti. Also, the construction of a wider drainage system along the Total to Temidire Road, opposite AUD Nursery and Primary School, Ikole, Ekiti. And a drainage and erosion control works along Itakuro Ogun Street, Okeosun Street, UBA Street, and Iloda Street. Now, all of these things we actually highlighted here, the areas. We made a little construction, sorry. I mean, we made a little research in those areas. Our members from each of those areas gave us reports. And as a speaker, I compiled all the reports together so that we can submit to you and we can have something to do. Even though our major responsibility is for the youth of Ekiti State, we are standing as a voice for the youth. Anything that affects the general populace indirectly also affect the youth. So we feel more affected because we have more populace of youth in Ekiti State. In conclusion, not to waste our time, flooding, erosion, and inadequate draining infrastructure remain major environmental challenge affecting communities across Ekiti State. The Ekiti State Youth Parliament therefore urges the House Committee on Environment, Ecology, and Climate Change and all relevant ministries, departments, and agencies to give priority attention to the identified communities and implement the recommendations contained in this position paper. If we can have timely investment in drainage infrastructure, erosion control, environmental law enforcement, and sustainable flood management, this will help in preventing the issues we have and also to protect lives and properties, to strengthen public infrastructure and promote a safer and resilient Ekiti. In conclusion, to round it up, I would appreciate the committee in advance and also to appreciate the state government and the governor, His Excellency Governor Bioyo Oyebanji, as we are sure that he's a proactive governor, is someone that acts before we even say. And he has been giving us listening here. We also want to appreciate him in advance that there will be quick actions to all of these things. Once again, Right Honorable TJ Sudani Babatunde, the Speaker of the State Youth Parliament. Thank you.
Thank you, the Speaker of the State Youth Parliament, for that comprehensive report. We note all the recommendations, and that's the essence of doing this public hearing. Please, we'd like to call on the next person, Ministry of Forestry representative. Forestry Commission, if they are here.
They are here.
Good afternoon. As someone used to say, and I want to say it also, permit me to lean on the existing protocols. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm representing Executive Secretary, Forestry Commission. I noticed that our previous speakers, they spoke a lot, and majority of them touched forestry matters, which is tree planting. But firstly, please let me correct the impression. as regards that a notion they raised the other time that a law says, maybe I can say a notion, a law that cut one, plant five. It's not in forestry law, and it has not been so. What we are after in forestry is aggressive regeneration. Aggressive regeneration. Because if we look at the population of Ekiti now, compared to when the Ekiti state was created, I think we know the difference. And again, as I entered this House of Assembly this morning, like that man has left now, like what he said, I look at here, and I look at this side, I know it's wow. Although I used to see whenever I'm sitting here, I say, this is good. You can see an example of typical what we are saying. This aggressive regeneration we are talking about starts from individuals. It is not only meant for the government alone. But look at the House of Assembly, they've done this and it's going there. And look at it. If you see this place now, where this particular small plantation, and compare it to other site or other, and let me say this, secretariat generally, you will know the difference. Here, easily there will be percolation. You cannot see runoff taking place here. But go to the other side, you will see a runoff taking place. Joining the main erosion we are complaining about, or flooding. That is why I want us to, chairperson, I want the State Assembly to make some law that this particular issue of interlocking, concretizing, all a lot of spaces which need to be at least conserve or plant trees instead of, you know, many compounds or GRAs you see, they will now be doing interlocking, concretizing, and do this thing before you realize. It is the collection of this water, or let me say this water, that will now join the one at the main covert or whatever, or drainage system, and increase flooding. And I want to call your attention to something that maybe people, our former speakers have not said, most of those who have spoken today have not talked about. If you look at your back, we used to Ekiti. Elementarily, I know it's as maybe let me translate it to Okiti. Is here and there. Do you know that what is happening now? We now see that those hills that even show our landscape in Ekiti, that people know so for, that beautifies our landscape, are now being dredged, let me say excavated. See it, if you look at back now, they are excavating it. And most of these things are supposed to serve as windbreakers. I think I'm passing information because these hills are there for long. And the vegetation on top of this, they are helping us a lot. But look at it now. We are excavating it, taking it away in order for developmental, or maybe building houses, thereby giving room for this storm. We are now seeing a little rain now, you will see storm, windstorm. Let me put it that way. So, and again, I'm just calling your attention to that one. There is a particular incident that happened. Those people that are very conversant are used to decide, Bonny side. A company there was totally destroyed as a result of windstorm this year, which is a local company, Bengal local company there. I noticed that what I discovered was that initially, part of the expanse of the land were covered by vegetation. But now, virtually all the vegetation, the standing trees, has been clear fell, leaving only palm tree. And whenever there is a wind, palm tree used to bend for wind. But standing trees always resist. I'm talking from practical experience. Whenever you see wind blowing, you will see palm tree, it will be bending for the wind. But when you see standing trees, whatever may be the species, you will see they will be resisting as a windbreaker. I think you are following me. Yeah. So let me go to this. I've studied that aggressive regeneration as a result of population increase in Ekiti. There's no way we can escape that. Because please, let me go into statistics, please permit me. In 1996, a population of Ekiti was put at 1.7 million, let me put it that way. 2006, 10 years later after, 2.3 million. 2022, according to statistics, 3 million. Look at the way at which their population is increasing. And we are now saying they will not exploit. There is no way they will want to tap from the forest estate and thereby leading to over-exploitation, thereby reducing our forest estate. So you now see that forest estate turning into housing estate. Forest estate turning to housing estate without any regulation, without any and that is why at this point I want to say, please, our honorable member, you should make a law. If you want to turn a kind of forest base to housing estate, there must be numbers of trees to be planted. Yes, those are the conditions that if you put on table to them, you must plant trees. Like our brothers, those who have traveled about, they say whenever they are on area, you will see most of this developed world with what? With, let me say, green infrastructure. Let me put it that way. You always see tree canopies there. But here, everything clear. It shouldn't be so. Please, I want you to look to that. And again, I've said the indiscriminate excavation of our hills in Ado Ekiti. Before you realize, because look at it now. In the coastal states, where the coastal states, they are doing what? Reclamation. Pushing ocean back. Pushing ocean back. And ocean is now fighting back. Why that one is happening in the coastal states? In our area here, we are excavating. We are pulling down. Please, I need we need to note that. And again, I want to tell you, the chairperson knows this very, very well. Funding. Ekiti Forestry Commission has been facing this very hard challenge in the sense that we know the issue of a forestry project is seasonal and it's time, let's say time conscious. How do you want to raise a nursery now? You want to raise a nursery to raise seedlings. And they want to appropriate our maybe annual funding. They want to give it to us. Instead of them to release that fund, maybe, possibly January or February, we will now be getting fund maybe by July. And usually, raising of seedling used to be commenced from January or even at times December, because that is the time we collect seeds. And the moment we fail to collect seeds, we don't even have mother trees that can produce seeds again. We go to other states to collect or to buy seeds. So instead of giving us this fund at the appropriate time, they will now push it forward. My chairperson, money that's supposed to be given in January, they are now giving us in July, August. Please, what do we want to use that money for? And if at all we are going to get the money, what of the bureaucracy process of giving us the bottlenecks, man? We are entitled to 10 million. At the end of the day, they release 2 million. I'm talking about bureaucracy process. Please, let me, we're on here, but I just want you to realize that. And again, man, so I want to tell us that this issue of funding, please help us to do it. And again, let me say finally, if it is possible, like other sister states, like other sister states, you can help us, for us to increase our efficiency. My chairperson, you understand better. You can convert forestry to Ministry of Forestry and Natural Resources, like other states in Ogun State. And please, let me tell you this. The problem and the current challenges we are facing now, I want you to, it's just like, permit me to speak Yoruba. Agbára ò sọ pé òun ní gbélé lọ. Sorry. Olile ni ò ní gbà. We should not leave this issue of aggressive region to the hands of the government alone. No wonder Forestry Commission, as we all know, we have been encouraging people to go on plantation, private plantation. That is why the Forestry Commission, on yearly basis, we used to give out seedlings of different economic tree species to people, to individual at subsidized rate. I think, thank you, my chairperson. So, just to encourage people, just to encourage individuals to plant this thing, not that they will not say, the seedlings is too expensive. I want to tell you that we are doing that, and the Forest Commission has been doing that very well. So advocacy for private plantation establishment, that is very important. And I've said it, so we must improve on this. And see, let me finish by saying this practical. You know, formerly, in the olden days, let me put it that way, our forefathers asked us in their farm, in their individual farm. There is no way you will see windstorm or rainstorm affecting, please, okay. There is no way you will see rainstorm affecting Aerewa Loko. But now, because we have already deforested all those vegetation that is protecting all those, because we have already clear felled it, that is why you will see now a windstorm will now be pulling down Aere. Because at the thank you, I'm very grateful.
Thank you, sir. We are about rounding up now. I wouldn't know if there's any other person that want to make any contribution. Is there any other person who want to make any contribution, please? In the absence of none, let me say one or two things. We have to appreciate our speaker for giving us this platform. And again, we've had a lot of speakers say one or two things. I want to thank Madam, I want to thank you especially, and I want to thank our guest speaker. You said something about Ekiti Southwest, which I come from. I'm afraid that there will be a lot of flood in Ekiti Southwest, according to Nimet. However, some years back, say like 2 years back, I received a lot of calls from my people crying for help about the flooding that is ravaging our community. And there's little that I can do. I have to make an interface with the governor. That's to tell you that even the state governor, the government is doing a lot of things to avert a lot of disaster in Ekiti. The governor told me what to do, and I followed it up. It will interest you to note that a dredger was brought to my local government in the affected area, because during this period, many people that are having their houses around that corridor, they are always afraid. Most especially in the evening when the rain falls. Most of them, they don't normally stay at home. In fact, a lot of houses has collapsed around the corridor where we have canals. But when they called on me, I told you I had an interface with the governor, and he told me what to do. Dredger was brought, and the dredger stayed for complete 1 month, working every day. Now, I can tell you that the people around that corridor, they are so happy. They are so happy with the governor. In fact, it even reflected in the last election. I am trying to use this opportunity to once again thank our governor on behalf of my community that this coming, what we are hearing again, that there will be a lot of flood in Southwest. I will have to appeal to our people too, that they have to take precautions on how they are disposing their waste. Most of them, they just dispose waste on the canals, on drainage. I believe with what you've told us now, with this knowledge, our people have to sit down properly and know that flooding is coming, and they have to plan against the flooding. That is one. Secondly, the speaker, the youth speaker, he has touched on many things. I, Honorable Tony Kende Adramodu, being the chairman House Committee on Works, there are a lot of things that he talked about that I am going to work on it, and I will make sure that come this coming budget, I pray and I know our governor is a listening governor. Most of what they requested for will be quantified in the coming budget by the grace of God. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Tony Adaramodu, for that brilliant submission. I think we have a lot of take home from this public hearing, which I will summarize as building local resilience and securing structural integrity, which is the most effective measure in combating disaster in Ekiti State. A lot of things have been said, like we have to make sure we create policies and laws that are very strict for our people to comply with. We also need to work on enforcement of all this law to make it more effective. And likewise, we are going to embark on inspections, because most of the time, people make laws, there's no follow-up. So we have to regulate that. And also we have to work on penalties and prosecutions, because when there's no law, there's no consequence. And people take a lot of things for granted. I remember the NGO, TJ mentioned something about not following up with foreign mayors, that it might not be applicable in Nigeria. Well, I will not totally agree with that, because we have to start from somewhere. If you start holding people in public accountabilities, like, for instance, if you offend the law, we can make a kind of offender registry. If you commit, or you have already committed the law, offense that is against the law, we can sanction such individual, put them on offender registry, and it will even be more difficult for them to do a lot of things, because when you have a criminal record and you want to apply for a job, or you have a company you want to see for other things, and you are on the offenders list, all this can have effect on your applications. People will have to sit back and think of the next line of action. The government is trying adequately by doing a lot of road construction, dredging, which we can see along all Ekiti State. And want to use this opportunity to thank the governor for doing a wonderful job in combating this rainfall disaster. I am from Ekiti East local government, which are prone to rainstorm disaster. It happened in 2004, in 2025 as well, and 2026 precisely. And I know the SEMA, they are so proactive with the support of the state government in reaching out to the people in Ekiti East, where I I'm representing the good people of Ekiti's Constituency 1. And also, we've talked about tree planting, which is essential. We can't just removing all the trees without replacement. These are fundamental things that we need to follow up. A lot of all these things, our guest speakers, Dr. Owen has also mentioned, Pastor Abere Adeyinka, you also mentioned, Abere Adeyinka also mentioned, and a key things strategically that can be useful for us in Ekiti State. And I know all this, we are going to also reach out to the public. Although we invited Iyaloja, Olokada, and driver unions, I think most of them are not here. We'll continue to reach out by sending our report to the general public and communicating this feedback to the local level so that we can have a feedback and be able to help us in our final report. Thank you.
Sensitization and reorientation, the attitude of our people is very, very important, because if we keep putting all these things in place and they are not adequately sensitized or informed, we still have the same recurring situation coming up.
Thank you, ma'am. Well, I already noted that too. This is the final message. First of all, I would like to really appreciate everyone that has made it a date with us. Thank you so very much. If we had been sitting on this side of the hall and nobody on that side of the hall, this event couldn't have been able to take place. But because you were there, that is why we could function. Thank you so much. I want to thank my sister, my friend, most especially. You like you said, and it is true. I think I met you here. You know, she was one of the first set of people that came. So we thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for making it a day with us. TGED Foundation, thank you. Pastor Bere, thank you for your insight. PS Ministry of Environment and Mr. Akinola, thank you very much. My Director of Planning, thank you so much. Statistics, I think. Okay, you are still in climate change, all right. Thank you very much. There was one thing that I had that gladdened my heart. We were told that climate change now has desk officers in all the MDAs. I think we need to have a meeting with every one of them, because if there's a time for every one of us to be very aware of this climate change phenomenon, I think the time is now. There's no other, like the PS Works was saying the other time, that we had one program yesterday. It's about climate change and health hazards, and it was brought up there that the rainfall, that the peak of this year rainfall is going to be in September. So all these things that we are seeing now, we ain't seen nothing yet. And it is very, very important that all hands must be on deck to ensure the safety of lives and property in Ekiti State. And globally, the climate change is going to, the world temperature is going on the increase. Yesterday, it was stated that it will be about 1 degree centigrade or something like that. No, in UK now, they have started experiencing heat waves. So we need to stop, like she said. This was something I said during the last Forestry Commission Day, and everybody I was almost getting slapped. I said that I was there this time last year. Now I am here this year. What has changed? Please, it is time for us to stop paying lip service. We need to start acting. We must stop playing the ostrich. The ostrich will put his head, will hide his head in the sand and believe that the whole body is already covered. We are playing the ostrich, and we must stop that. In 2024, one of the things that Dr. Oli told me, the Kabiyesi of Okeako said that there was a lot of illegal tree felling, and that was what brought the rainstorms. So we must be up and doing, all of us. It is no longer government. We must, like you said, take ownership. So once again, I want to thank you on behalf of the Speaker, Right Honorable Stephen Aribasoye, that has appointed each and every of us on this committee to function here. I want to thank you. He's unavoidably absent. I trust my Speaker. If he had been absent, he would have showed up, even if it's not more than 10 minutes, he would have showed up to give us his own support. So I want to thank every one of you. You have really, really performed excellently well. We've started since 10:45 or so, and 2 o'clock. This is 2:20. We are still here, and all of you have you sat patiently listening to us. And I want to assure you, this will not just be all talk. You are going to see action by the grace of God. Thank you very much. God bless you. So we want to take a picture. We will take a group picture before we depart. Many people had already left, but those of us that are still around. So maybe do we have a Muslim in the house? Any Muslim in the house? Okay. If there is no Muslim, then you can just. Okay. Which woman?
The grace.
Okay, she's not forthcoming. So let's share the grace together.
The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God.